Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. I am Kayla, and today I am once again joined with Sammi.
Hello.
And today is my birthday. And
happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Not singing the whole thing.
No, it's also not my birthday the day we're recording this, but it's fine. No. So I have very vaguely mentioned a project I've been working on throughout the course of the year.
You've had a time with this.
Yeah.
It's come in ebbs and flows.
It has. It really does. And this is it. So this is my birthday episode where I decided it would be fun to tier rank 41 K-pop survival shows.
And it's 41, arbitrary number, because that is as many as you could sit through.
Yes, so you might be this is not an extensive list of survival shows, and you might be wondering why these ones specifically, and that is because I have watched every show on this list, so I can give actual opinions on them and how they went and what I think of them, because I have watched every single show that we will be tier ranking today.
I have seen most of these shows. I have seen performances from all of these shows, so I am the Knee Slapper second most equipped.
Yes, and no one else is here because no one else cares enough about survival shows to want to even participate in this.
Look, that first row right there puts out immediately everyone else.
That's literally what we spent, probably a fifth of the year. A solid maybe close to fifth of the year on produce.
Yeah, a solid 2 months of our lives have been dedicated to this show, and I don't think we'll ever be the same.
No, I am a different person now, having watched 14 seasons of the Produce series.
I do think it has brought us closer together. It has. Really just,
it really has, for sure. Because once you spend, multiple weekends just, doing nothing but watching seasons of Produce, it really bonds you together.
There are people we mention that don't ever need to be mentioned in a conversation. That we just know and have intimate knowledge about their journey and their lives.
Yes.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I think we can just power through those shows and then we'll get to the fun ones.
Yeah, so I want to spend less time on the shows that we have, pretty extensive coverage on the channel already. So we're going to lightning round through all of the Produce seasons really fast. And I'm not going to spend as much time on things like the Kingdom, Queendom series either, because we've also covered that. But I do want to spend more time talking about the shows that we haven't talked about really at all on the show.
And that we have opinions about, because I think a lot of people will be surprised about the shows that we have seen, because there's some on here that I feel like a lot of people would assume that we would have, seen generally, and, it's not the ones you think. I have, a few of these where I have seen every episode of. It's not the one you think it is.
Yeah. I have these, essentially kind of categorized into, types of show, and then at the end, I have the 3 shows that are not produced that have aired this year that I've seen or / am still watching, so I also want to take, a decent amount of time at the end to talk about those 3 shows as well. So, Produce time, lightning round. Produce 101 original
Produce.
It's fine, but it's kind of boring. The season 2 pretty good.
I think
Queso 48. It's is here. Zoom. X is not that great.
I was gonna give 48 a little bit better.
I think it's worse than season 2.
Really?
It's just gonna chill there for now.
Item producer is Cup of Milk. I will take no other questions. This time.
This one's pretty boring.
That for anybody that know, that is Youth with You 1. This is Youth with You 2 is Zoom.
Is better. Youth with You 3 is not Ice Cream. This one is down.
Terrible.
Wait, Produce China
Produce
terrible.
101 China.
And Chuang 2019 also pretty awful.
Terrible. Chuang 2020, I'd put Zoom. I really like that.
Yeah, with these 3 together, I think are all pretty similar.
What brings it down, because it could be Queso tier. It's just that it has a very bad group at the end.
It does. It does bring it down.
Should have won that show.
Right, but they're given terrible music.
But they're given terrible music.
Whereas
Youth with You 2 is lower because the show is worse. The people that won are worse, except for Big Monster, icon of our time. But the group is better.
Yes. Chuang
2021 Queso.
We'll come back to that one.
We can
Japan, I'm gonna put up here with Idol
Japan
Producer.
Season 1 there. I put
Japan season 2. I'll put here with Zoom. So there we go.
Now that we have that out of
now
the way.
that we have the 14 produced seasons out of the way, we can get to the real content.
If you want our greater opinions about produce, we just did a produce month about all 3 of the seasons that aired this year, and we have an entire produce month about all of these other seasons. Mm-hmm. We have full episodes on those top 2 shows.
We do.
From months ago. They're fabulous. I adore them. Highly recommend them.
So,
The Unit.
So now there's a category of 6 shows here that I like to consider the produce adjacent shows, which essentially all of these shows are survival shows that made a temporary group.
Yes.
So the Unit and Mix 9 come together.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of drama airing with those two
so
shows.
The 2 of them, you have to talk about them together because they aired at the same time. They're essentially the same show, and both of them were direct results.
To be the same show, though.
No, but they're both direct results of the New West situation on produced season 2.
New West created a monster.
They did.
So
New West spawned both of those shows into existence, and both of them were incredibly unsuccessful.
I also think that I kind of want to do you want to do a fun little thing for each of these shows where we talk about some of what we remember as the best and the worst performances?
Yes.
Highlights and lowlights, and then just the group that came out. So the group that came out of the Unit, there were 2 of them. It was Unity and UNB, sorry. Which is boys and girls. It's supposed to be idols from failed groups getting a second chance.
Yes.
Even though a lot of people on that show were not idols. They were still trainees.
They for some reason allowed a decent amount of just trainees and like actors on that show, which immediately discredited the entire meaning of the show. So
it made it
there was that
because like a lot of the trainees did like these were idols. Mm-hmm. It made the whole idol situation sadder because they were framing it because it really did. The show framed it. Here's the problem with the Unit. I watched a decent amount of the Unit because one of my favorite K-pop groups, all of One We was on that show.
All of One We went on to the Unit as a band. They were straight up in band form, and they're like, we're here. We know we're a band, and we know we're bad, but we're here. So
we are present.
Yeah.
Donghyun was also on season 2, so Donghyun could dance.
Donghyun made it decently far into that show. Like, he made it to the finale. Like, he went far into that show because he could actually dance. No. So he did well.
He did well. Like, he did pretty well.
Everyone else got eliminated immediately.
Here's the question. They're great singers. The problem is when you cannot do two of them don't sing. Mm-hmm. And then, because Heron's a drummer.
Heron is a drummer, yes.
Heron
also ranked the highest because I'm pretty sure because he was the most attractive. He ranked 4 spots higher than the rest of One Week because he's hot, and I think that's what was happening there.
We do regularly call him Hot Drummer.
We do call Heron Hot Drummer. Like, that's what he's called. That's what he is. He's Hot Drummer.
Mainly just because we thought about all K-pop drummers and we're like, yeah,
he's the hot drummer.
He has no competition. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I just have a vivid memory of this. I forget what song they were covering, but them telling Sia had to do a center dance solo for a hot second, and he just looks like he wants to die.
Poor baby. The man is not a dancer. They never tried to be dancers.
No, they're a band, and now they're a band.
And then also Kanghyun, also their guitarist is also not a singer. Like, they have 3 singers. They all do pretty well in that show. It's just that you can't put a band on an idol competition.
The thing that's funny about them, though, is that all of them got a pass into the show where there's, legitimate, idols who did not make it through the auditions of the show.
That's true.
Most of Boyfriend went to audition for the Unit, and only Donghyun made it through the audition.
Poor Boyfriend. The story of Boyfriend haunts me and is very sad to me.
And essentially what Boyfriend got told when they went to audition was that it was you really seem like the heart has left your soul. It seems like you don't really want to be here anymore.
We'll get to more Starship nonsense in a little bit, but it's truly terrible. They had a really terrible time as a group. Really, from their debut till their disbandment, they had a terrible time. They did decently well.
They
for
did.
a while.
They were on, like, a rise for a little bit, and then Starship just, like, decided to, like, not care about them anymore, and then they were kind of just left.
The other thing highlight is that, June and Chan from Ace were both on the show.
Yeah.
Which was
and Chan made the group, and June did not, and that is still wild to me. It's wild that that's what happened there.
Look, it's an Mnet. The unit was an Mnet. No,
it was KBS, yeah.
It was KBS, but I'm just saying any sort of Korean broadcasting type survival show, I question every result ever done. I question all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, the unit had no ratings, so like...
No. The thing is that, the winning that show benefited the people who won that show absolutely nothing. Like, they gained nothing from being on that show.
I know that there are idols that won that show, but, like, none of those groups really gained anything.
No.
I think it might have actually hurt those groups a decent amount.
It probably, like, I think hurt Ace more than it helped, because they were just left to do nothing for a while, so they lost him in their momentum through that.
They did one comeback without him, and it was... Ace is such a small group that, like, you do miss the one person that's gone because there's only 5 of them.
If the Mixed 9 group had actually come together, there would only been June and WoW, and that would have been Ace.
We'll get to Mixed 9, but like, what are your highlights from the unit?
So a thing that I really enjoyed about the unit was because I did know a lot of the groups that went on to unit and auditioned. I think the audition part was my favorite part of the show because you really got a lot of knowledge into like their careers and the struggles that they had.
And like
hearing that was really interesting for me.
They were surprised because I sort of watched the unit through auditions and then kind of fell off watching it as like a full show and watched a lot of the performances. They were very candid.
Oh yeah.
They were very just like, they talked shit, and I'm always, you know me, I'm always into when people talk shit.
Mm-hmm. You know, and the unit, like, is sort of, the point of the unit is, like, everyone on the unit is kind of has, like, a New S storyline, but if we're gonna pick out a group that got, like, the biggest New S storyline of the unit, Madtown, really, you got to hear extensive knowledge about the just absolute destruction of Madtown.
And here's the thing. I have a soft spot for Madtown. I think Madtown is kind of hilariously fun.
Mm-hmm.
As a group. Like, they were, like, I think that they were a pretty decent group that did deserve more than what they got.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, the Madtown storyline of this show is just so... And it didn't help. That's what hurts the most. It helped no one.
It helped neither of them.
It helped no one on the show.
And it was so funny because there was pretty much like an ongoing lawsuit with them while they were on the show, and you would get like, I think, just like little updates on like what's going on.
Like, how's it going?
How's the Madtown lawsuit going?
In the middle of like while we're doing this show.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I do think the performances from the show are bad. Like, they are really, really bad.
Can I point out the worst one though?
Yeah.
Before we get to the good, to the few good that I saw,
mm-hmm.
I think genuinely, because it is one of the worst things I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
The cover of Red Flavor they do
haunts
my nightmares.
Oh man, it
haunts my nightmares.
That is really one of the most terrible things I've ever seen.
It is one, because it is one of the first rounds of the show.
It is the first round of the show.
So it is one of the first. Because I wasn't watching the show while it aired, mm-hmm. but I got this. Because for a lot of these variety shows, I'll just watch the performances as they come out, and I'll be like, oh, this is fun, this is terrible, this is good.
Uh-huh.
I saw this is one of the first things I watched from the unit, and I'm like, what the? These girls are, like, they are debuted. Because none of them have ever, because I've seen some of these groups, like, you have members of, like, CLC in this, and, like, there's people in this that are idols.
Right.
What the fuck happened?
The thing with the unit is a lot of really bad decisions were made. And I don't know if it's because, like, this is KBS. And I am fully of the opinion that KBS doesn't know how to do idol reality shows. That is a thing. They've never made a good one. But they don't know how to do the staging because they literally didn't give them any sort of, like, background recording for when they do the live stages like every survival show does. And so they were singing completely live, and it makes them sound terrible.
Not just that, but I do think that the arrangement that they went with is like, Red Flavor is a Red Velvet song. It's particularly on the cuter side of Red Velvet, but Red Velvet is never done it's as close to cute as I feel like Red Velvet's ever done.
Yeah.
I don't know why Red Velvet is a group that so often when they do a Red Velvet song, especially one of the cute Red Velvet songs, it ends up sounding terrible. Because we'll get to another one where there's
another obnoxiously bad Red Velvet cover that is going to be here, yeah.
You know, but they did Red Flavor this time. It's truly awful. They all sound like they're 2. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the highest pitch. I don't know, because Red Velvet doesn't sing that high. They adapted this song for these. They told them to sing like this. This is not them doing the voice that's done in the original song.
No,
they were told to do this. None of these girls sound like this ever again, either.
The thing with the unit, though, is that they were allowed to make arrangements for the songs, and so I do think it is their own fault that they decided that was what they were going to do.
It sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I wanted to go on a mini rant about maybe the worst performance.
That's not
the worst
good.
Performance. I think that's the worst performance.
The unit has, I think, so the theme song for the unit is very good. I'll give it that. The theme song is good. They have one other good song, original song that I like, which is Cherry on Top. Yeah.
Cherry on Top is good.
There is no other good performances on the unit. Like, they are pretty bad all the way through.
So I was looking up performances from the unit today, just to remind myself about a lot of these shows. Were there just a lot more because the female performances are pushed far more than the male performances. Just when you look up the unit, you'll find 25 female performances, and I'm like, oh shit, there were men on this show. I'm pretty
sure there's almost exactly the same number of them on the show.
Trust me, it's harder to find the men.
Yeah,
I'm not finding the men as easy.
I also want to point out that the unit has horrible outfits. Like,
they do.
The original Sound Wrong in particular, I remember it. I'm like, why the hell are they dressed like that? Everyone looks terrible.
Well, I also think that this show had no budget. This is not produce. I think the only time everyone looks good, and it's entirely because they're wearing all the same outfits.
Yeah,
I like is in the theme song.
The theme song, yeah. They look fine in the theme song.
The problem with the theme song is that I think it's too many people.
Yeah.
The thing
because there's I think like 60 of each gender on the show.
120. That's 20,
it's so many people.
Because like you're already pushing it with produce. 100 people is a lot of people to deal with.
I'd also like to say the unit and Mixed 9 have the exact same problem where it's like you cannot do a mixed gender survival show.
If you're not making a mixed group.
You can't do it.
If you're making a mixed group,
you absolutely does not work at all because when you're trying to do 2 separate things at once. Like it's just not working.
2 different shows.
Yeah.
Because never do they ever do a round where they interact, where they do a mixed situation. They are always
If anything, both of these shows tried to keep them as separate as humanly possible throughout the entire course of
They don't even
shows.
show because they always show reaction shots. They will not show reaction shots of the opposite gender. They do it on, I think, Mix 9 a little bit. No, on specifically on the unit, I know that I feel like I never saw a reaction shot of like men to a female performance.
The unit, I think, was like particularly more strict about it than Mix 9, but like keeping the genders like separate. But like Mix 9 still did it, but it was like you saw them in like the same room together sometimes at least.
They were not gender.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should have just done this as 2 different shows. I feel like you would have gotten a better outcome.
I think it was because they're also when you're doing 2 separate gender, because the unit was doing 2 different groups. That was the intention. And you're essentially trying to give screen time to too many people is what's happened there. And you just have too many people, too many stories to focus on, and it's just confusing. And then a lot of people aren't going to invest themselves into both.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Is like you're going to pick one to invest in, and then that's it. And so you're kind of losing half of your audience for half of your show. So
yeah.
It's not great.
All right, so where do you want to put the unit? Because I honestly have no good or bad to talk. The unit is mostly bad.
I'm in between Ice Cream or Dinner's Ready. I'm like, it's in one of these.
I kind of want to put it into... dinner's ready because
it's not good.
Because I like it for the people, but I think that no one got anything out of it, and in a way, it was a waste of all our times.
It really was. So now, speaking of a waste of everyone's time, we have Mix 9.
Waste of all our time. Mix 9. So Mix 9.
Mix 9, I have really mixed feelings on because I think it's actually a really good show, but it's also terrible. It's also terrible. The performances are what made me want to watch that show in the beginning. Because I went and I saw, because I was essentially only going to watch it for K&K, because K&K is on it, or 3 members of K&K are on it. And so I watched 2 performances that the K&K members were in, which happens to be My House, and it was Love in the Ice. And they are 2 of my favorite performances on a survival show ever.
Showed me.
Literally ever.
Me that Love in the Ice performance. And I legitimately fell in love with it. Like, I adore that performance.
That Love in the Ice performance is my favorite vocal performance to ever be done on a survival show still. Like, it is phenomenal.
Like, it truly is phenomenal.
It really is. And it's, so in that performance also is like a whole bunch of people who are now...
That you know. That we all know.
It's In Song and Heejun of K&K. It's also Hyunkyu and a Chandong from Romance. And then it's Ishin from ONF, Soho from One Us, and then who is the kid? What's his name? There's a kid in Dice D1s who's also in it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
but there's like and then also June from Dong-hoon from Ace is in that too.
It's so good. Like has just it's the main vocals of like so many groups
of all these good. It's so good. It's,
oh my god!
It's one of my favorite things ever.
So I went back and I'm re-listening to it now just because I feel things. I feel things.
It's so good.
Look, for as much as I do love TVXQ is great. The fact that it is more people singing it.
There's more people. The harmonies are so good.
So good.
It's so good.
Nothing against TVXQ, but I feel like just the more voices just hurt me. I think this is a song that's like. More voices correlates to more emotion to me at this point.
If I'm gonna recommend like one performance from literally all of these shows for people to go watch, it's gonna be that one. It's so good.
Phenomenal. I would say that. Again, any My House performance, it's actually one of the best My House performances because they actually
it's so good.
So good.
It's a lot of that I put onto WoW from Ace because he choreographed the whole thing for them. Essentially, it's a phenomenal cover of that.
The thing. We gotta talk about the YG.
We gotta talk about the YG of it all is really what brings it down.
Because YG as a person is on this show, and I immediately have to docket points.
He is, and YG as a person is in like super creep mode on this show as well. He's so creepy. So if you've ever seen Ace, right, and you've ever seen the fucking the hot pants,
the hot pants thing with YG. Now imagine that, because Ace can kind of hold their own.
Yeah.
Imagine that, but with girls who just know that they can't say anything. It's fucking the creepiest thing I've ever seen. I hate him, and I hate everything about whenever he speaks to these contestants, because it's like...
It's terrible. It's so bad.
He's so creepy.
He's so creepy. And it's like, the other thing, obviously, that's gonna dock the show is that they never got their winning group together, and several companies sued YG for it because it's like, you can't just take all of our trainees and put them on a survival show,
use them
and
for
then
money.
When they win, like, tell us that it's just not gonna happen anymore.
Not just that, but like, if you take a look at the group, because, so it is still mixed gender, you have boys and girls, so you end up with, but there was only going to be one winning group, and it was also, you were not only voting for the contestant, but you're also voting for the gendered group.
Which gendered group? Because the way the finale worked is they gave you the top 9 of each gender, and then it was like, and here is the only one, and then it's like, now we're going to see who's going to actually debut, because it's like, for all the females, it was like, you won, but too bad, you don't get to debut anyway. So,
too bad, you did great.
And that was essentially the vibe throughout the show, is that all of the girls on the show knew that the boy group was gonna win.
Well, yeah. Like, I'm
so
sorry.
It was like, well, they're like, all of them are just kind of like, why are we even trying here?
Here's the thing. Of course the boy group was gonna debut.
Yeah. There was no scenario in which the boy group wasn't gonna win that.
Show. The thing with it is also that these were mostly either trainees or recently debuted idols. So it was a little less of a redemption arc than the unit was. It was more of a, we want to get our names out there. For some
There's
groups,
so many groups that went on the show. Like, all of ONF went on. All, like,
Luna
Ace,
was on here.
Luna was on there.
Dreamcatcher was on here.
Yeah.
It's really Dreamcatcher that also now, there's also rumors about the Happy Face because of that.
So, it speaks to also, so one of Happy Face's male trainees came in first place in the boy group.
Woo!
And then Happy Face was essentially leading the charge in the lawsuit against YG, because it was like, you fucking suck. Yeah.
You did
And so now there's a whole thing where people think YG is blacklisting Happy Face from a lot of places.
You know, it's possible.
Yep.
What are other highlights? There's all the performances.
The performances are so good. The performances are great. That's the main reason the show is good, because it has some of the best performances like ever, like on like consistently good performances throughout the entire show. Essentially,
will say that
they're so good.
I will say a low light, and not that it's terrible, but that it is the most 2017 thing I've ever seen. Is the theme song. Just Dance.
Theme song is not great. Yeah,
it is. It's not the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of the most 2017. They fucking floss in it.
Yep.
A lot. They do. A couple times. Mm-hmm. I will say I do like that it is less people. It is not as overwhelming a cast as the unit.
No, Mix 9 has double the amount of people as the unit.
Does it?
Mix 9 starts up with at least like a 250 trainees.
Why have I never seen 250 people?
And like Mix 9 straight up has at over 200 trainees at the start, and they eliminate like 100 people at a time because there are so many of them.
Here's the thing, Kayla. I feel like I have seen performances of the show. They only show maybe 50 people. They do not care about 100 of these people.
No, all of them are not in the theme song at all.
See,
no,
that's what I'm going off of, Kayla. I go entirely on the sides of cast based on the theme song.
If you look at some of the first round performances, there's like 20 people in a stage because they just had way too many fucking people on Mix 9.
It's unfortunate.
And their first elimination, I think they got rid of like 100 people. Like so many people.
The weird thing with Mix 9 is the entire YG of it all. It's probably the show I've seen. Your thing is almost just bringing up the people that are in Mix 9, which is very funny at times.
Yes.
I absolutely loathe the show for what it is.
Yep.
Like the YG of it all. It made me just never want to watch it, so I just haven't. I've seen so many other YG shows.
The thing that's so interesting about it is because it does have the feel of like a YG show, except there is more than just YG people on it, and so YG himself and like the YG is like a little bit less of a presence. Down. Yeah,
I just think it is
in like some other specific ones.
The man YG and then the whole drama afterward made me upset.
Oh yeah, I do want to talk about the group that would have debuted out of this had it actually happened. So the first place winner was Woo Jin Young. He's in Dice, or what D1s, whatever that group is. He also has debuted solo. And then it also has Hyojin of ONF, and then the other member of ONF, Lon, who has since left ONF.
Okay.
It would have had both of them. It would have had Donghoon and Byung-kwan of Ace.
Ace would have been 2 people.
Yep. It would have had
3 years.
Hyunsuk, who's now in Treasure, would have been in there.
Okay.
And Byung-in's BX of 6 would have been in there, because he was a YG trainee at the time.
Right, and also, that was before he left YG.
That was when he was in YG still, and then he went on to Treasure Box and then did not get into Treasure.
Then immediately had to go be in 6.
And then went to be in 6. Yep.
This poor boy has been gone through the ringer.
And then it has Hangyeom, who was in 7 O'Clock, now in Omega X.
7 O'Clock! Oh god, 7 O'Clock deserved better.
And then there's a guy named Lee Rubin. I don't really remember who he was, but I'm pretty sure he was on Boys 24. I don't really know for 100% on that one. But that would have been a very bizarre, but like probably good group.
Like I feel like that could be worse. Like
that could have been like I feel like that was probably gonna end up a really good group.
Like I feel like I would have liked that group in spite of the YG of it all.
Yeah, and YG essentially decided he wasn't gonna debut the group because the show didn't get nearly as much popularity as he was expecting, and he decided that he needed to either train them more or have them have the contract that he were gonna be a group longer, and then all of the companies were like, no, that's ridiculous. And so then he was like, well, fine, now we're not having a group. So, sucks to suck.
And then YG got embroiled in other scandals, and maybe he should be in prison.
Yep.
I will say that every time we talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like it, maybe look at your priorities about the man you're defending. Moving along. What's next?
I like it. I enjoyed it overall better than the unit, but it's still pretty bad.
So
I'm gonna put it in ice cream.
I can't bring it any higher just because of the YG of it all, man.
Mm-hmm. It really is unfortunate. Everything about that show.
So what's this?
So next we have Under 19.
Oh,
Under 19 and made the group won the 9.
The thing with that is that Under 19 made such a good underrated group.
It did. It made a really good group, and honestly, Under 19 was a really, really enjoyable show to watch, in my opinion. Like, I just found the entire format of the show, like, newer and refreshing, and I had actually a very fun time watching that show. So I've never
seen, like, I don't know I've seen performances, but I've never seen the actual episodes.
So the way the format started off and sort of how it goes is that there are 3 categories. There's vocals, rap, and performance, which is essentially the dancing. And there's originally 19 boys of, like, all under 19, obviously. And we go down to 12 years old. So 12 through 19-year-olds here. All the range we have here.
Oh, no. Oh, poor baby.
Several 12 to 13-year-olds are here.
Oh, no. I don't like it.
It's a weird thing to get used to, having kids that young on the show. So there's
are these
all of
trainees
them.
Or independent?
They are, I'm pretty sure, I think either. I think they can be both.
Okay.
But essentially for the first few rounds, they do, challenges as, like, a unit together. Mm-hmm. So initially they go in and for the auditions, they do their audition, and then they're ranked 1 through 19 in each of their 3 different divisions. And then instead of Under 19 having, like, one base theme song, like, vocals got a theme song, rap got a theme song, and performance got a theme song.
Oh, that's
And then
fun.
that was distributed based off of, like, how well they were ranked initially.
Oh, that's
And then
fun.
they each got to perform a theme song.
Oh,
and so I do.
That's cute.
Yeah, and then so each round they would be a first, second, and third place. And so if, like, vocals won first and the dance got seconds and, like, rap got third, the first place, like, group wouldn't have anyone eliminated. Second place would get, like, 3 people eliminated, and third place would get 5 people eliminated.
Oh, that's
how the show went for, like, 3 or so rounds. Is that's the format. They do their thing as, like, a unit together, and then depending on how they did as a whole and ranked first, second, or third is how many people from that, like, unit got eliminated.
That's a fun way to do that. I like it.
It was nice. And then it's, like, towards the end of the show, we split up the units and then started doing, like, more traditional, like, survival show format. Yeah. But I did like that as for the start. And they kept that for a while, too.
I will say, I watched a bunch of performances from this show. And honestly, I didn't realize that they had been, like, so done that way. I thought it was more, like, the way Produce does it. Mm-hmm. But I will say, this has some fun performance. This show looks more fun.
It does. It does have a much more fun. It has a much more fun vibe than a lot of other survival shows.
They're genuinely having a good time, which is why I did not like. Which is why originally I did not think that they. Which is why I asked if they were trainees or if they were independent.
Right.
Because they were very talented, which makes me think that they're trainees. But they look like they were having fun, which makes me think that they have no company affiliation whatsoever, because I don't think you're allowed to have fun while you're in a company.
Essentially, they had auditions open to, like, I think anyone who, like, any boys who are under 19. Mm-hmm. So That's fun. If they were in a company, that was fine, because it was going to be a temporary group anyway, but if they were independent, that was also fine. I do want to talk about one storyline that I find fun, but not so fun on the show, which is this legacy of this boy named Eddie. So he
I do know. I have heard this story.
So he's American, essentially. He is not Asian at all. I think he might be Hispanic, but I'm not entirely sure. But he can't speak Korean at all, really. But he's in the performance unit of the under 19. And so he comes in, he is an absolutely fantastic dancer. He blows everyone away, and so he ends up ranking first in the entire performance unit. But then the theme song time comes around, and because he's ranked first, he has to sing the most and is in the center, like, a lot. And then we're suddenly confronted with the fact that this kid's an amazing dancer, can't speak Korean, and is also essentially tone deaf. So he is having a terrible time.
Not a great time. So but Eddie is
it's
Hispanic.
Not great. Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie is Hispanic. But yes, I have seen those clips. I have heard this story. I feel very bad for him. He's a very good dancer.
He's incredible. He's an incredible dancer,
he's
yeah.
So good. But the problem is, again, for a K-pop group, you need to I always say this. Everyone in a K-pop group needs to be a dancer plus something else.
Yeah.
Or something else plus being not have two left feet.
Yeah.
Like,
and the thing, the combined fact of he can't speak Korean and also is essentially tone deaf. It's like, if he could, like, kind of sing, like, a little bit, it would have been better.
Like, we'd be fine.
But he is, like, really, really bad.
Yeah.
And so they had this part in that theme song where it's like, if you wanted to steal someone's part, you can. And so essentially every other person in the performance group went out to steal that part, because of course they would, and they would definitely were gonna get it. So
yeah, it's unfortunate.
The first time the performance team is up for elimination, he gets eliminated. And it's like everyone on this show is a little bit surprised at it, because everyone knows how good he is at dancing, but it really is, I think, the vocals and like lack of Korean understanding that's holding him back. It's probably also a little bit racism in there as well.
Partially racism.
Not gonna pretend that the racism wasn't a part of it.
I don't definitely think we can pretend that the racism is not there.
But it was definitely
as we've seen from other seasons of this show, the racism is present. What I am asking is it voting based of who gets to leave, or is it judging?
I think it's a
mix.
I think it's a mix. I think it might be mainly voting, actually, on who gets eliminated, because every time they have the elimination round, they re-rank everybody. So I do think a significant part of it, I think, came from like fan voting, but I don't remember like percentages wise or anything.
Honestly, at least from the clips I've seen of the show, you could maybe speak to truly terrible performances. I think that everything that made it to stage was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I can't remember a single bad performance from
thing that I heard.
Yeah, I can't remember a single bad performance.
There's no red flavor in this.
Right.
Honestly, I would put this Zoom or even Queso. I had a lot of fun, and honestly, if you want to take into account the group. Yeah, the group also the 9 is so
brings
good.
It up. Yeah,
so good. Oh, if you've not heard Won the 9, they're actually very, very good. Travesty that they were so short-lived.
I think Under 19, it was also it was just a very refreshing show to watch, having come off, all of these seasons and produce. Yeah, it was it was more fun, and the format's interesting and different.
And honestly, another thing that you've probably seen, because it is far more popular than everything else that the show did. Yes, J-Hope was a judge on the show for like one episode. He was there for a hot second.
He was very cute as a judge.
And honestly,
he was a super cute judge. Yeah,
like that kind of vibe on this show is so sweet. Like I like the vibe I felt. I would actually maybe go back and watch this show if it's available.
It's on Viki. So
it is.
It's very easy to see. It's
so fun. It's everyone looked like they're having fun.
Yeah. I enjoyed
Kai
it.
was also on the show. They actually got a decent amount of good judges for
hot
seconds. Like not consistently, but for a moment they were great. So what is that, Superband?
So this is Superband 1 and Superband 2.
I feel like we can talk about them together, because they
essentially so essentially what it is I like season 1 a lot, season 2 a lot less than season 1.
Oh yeah.
And this is maybe because of the fact that I watched season 1 having already known about Lucy and Happy Pola and Purple Rain and like all of the groups that had won and liked them, and so watching it on a retrospective was fun because I already had people I liked.
Yeah, I think that in terms of having connecting, Superband is harder to connect with than a regular Idol survival show, because it is, again, they're making bands, so it's a different vibe entirely. And the bands don't know each other. So it's not even like it's a week. It's
also would like to preface this by saying I did a no subs watch of both of these. I watched both of those purely without subtitles because that is all I got for both of them. Is we got no subtitles for either of them. So that was fun. It's also one of the least accessible shows on this list, so Kayla, it's hard to watch. No subtitles.
It is the least accessible show on this entire list.
There's no subtitles.
I also do not think it is also probably the least desired to be watched by our audience. Sorry to say, but unless you're a massive Lucy stan, which we are.
We are, obviously.
And that's why I hunted down every clip of Lucy on Superband 1. And then by association, you get Hoppy Pola and everyone else.
Yes,
The problem with season 2 is that I also tried a no subs watch of that. The problem was I didn't care enough to pay attention.
So here's my thing with it is that Superman in theory is everything I want out of a survival show because I love bands. I love that we're getting a lot of instruments here that aren't traditional in bands. There's so many violin and cello players and just non-traditional band instruments that you're getting out of it.
You're getting traditional instruments in this, which is also very fun.
But that's my problem with season 2 is season 2 opens it up and there's a lot more interesting instruments. There's a lot more traditional Korean instruments in season 2 than you get in season 1. The problem is that none of them make it far in the show at all, so they are all gone immediately. So and season 2 definitely felt like we got very traditional bands. There wasn't really anything as interesting as Lucy or Hoppy Pola in the Superband 2 finale.
Is that both of them are fun, and both of them are slightly out of the box. You don't really see cello or violin that often in a band. But it is not the most unique thing you could do with this concept. Cello and a violin are still two Western string instruments. You're probably gonna end up with a string instrument in your band, that's fine. But
there is one guy, he plays a traditional Korean instrument that I don't know the name of, but it's got one of the big string ones. He makes it pretty far in the show, and he had been one of my favorite people in Superband 2 because everything that they did and all the bands he was in was very innovative, and it was really nice. But I liked it a lot.
And a lot of the performances are very my thing was just it's hard to keep track of the people when I didn't watch the show, but I watched a lot of performances, and a lot of the performances are quite good.
They're so good. There's a Superband 1 performance. It's got Ye-chan, and it's got the Jinho, the celloist of Hoppy Pola, plus another guy on guitar who's the vocal, and they're doing Viva La Vida by Coldplay. It's beautiful.
So good.
It's so good.
That is maybe my highlight of that entire of Superband is that performance. The thing is also really hard to find that performance.
Yes. It is so hard. A lot of Superband 1 and 2 are just not on the internet. They are just missing from the internet. I remember
trying to find the Viva La Vida performance, and I cannot. It's impossible unless you hunt down a...
I only saw it because I was watching the whole episode without subs and then stumbled across it. And I'm like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, and then you told me about it, and then I, hunted down just that part.
Yeah.
So good.
And it's not around. It's just
so much of Superband 1's impossible to find. It's super inaccessible. And the thing with it is, if it is no subs version, I don't know if I can, in good conscience, recommend people hunt it down.
Yeah, because you really have to commit, a lot to that if you're going to watch either of those shows. Because it's just really not accessible because it's not a show that people who'd watch, people, I guess, it doesn't appeal to an international audience,
I will say that Superband 2, far more accessible in terms of performances.
Yeah, I think every performance from Superband 2 is essentially on YouTube.
That's where I've probably ended up seeing more Superband 2 performances.
Yeah.
Than Superband 1, because I've really only hunted down the Lucy and probably Hoppy Pola parts.
Yeah. Wonsang is absolutely fantastic.
Wonsang is a delight.
Wonsang is almost like the star of Superband 1 because he comes in and he does his audition and essentially is he more does a DJ composing thing for his audition rather than the bass player that he just ended up being. And it is really unique. It's really innovative, and everyone wants to work with him because he's just so good, and he just is so good throughout the course of the show. And it's honestly a little bit surprising that Happy Pola comes out the winner, because Lucy seemed like such a favorite to win the whole thing at the end.
Just like the whole Happy Pola of it all. Not that Happy Pola is bad. Happy Pola is quite pretty good, but it's Lucy. I think we're just Lucy Sims.
And I honestly think that Lucy not winning the show ended up in a much better place anyway, because they ended up in, because Gwangil just brought them all back to Mystic, and Mystic debuted them like immediately.
Like, oh, we have a band? No, fuck that. Put them out.
Yeah, and so Happy Pola is technically on a temporary contract, but Lucy is a real group, so here we are.
And the thing is that Lucy was able to switch out their vocalist.
They did switch out they did have to switch out the main vocalist.
But for a better vocalist.
But to be fair, he did have a band to go back to, so it's fair for him.
But I think everyone ended up winning.
Also, we should also mention that Woo-sung from the Rose was on Superman 1. Oh yes,
he was present. He did.
Actually, the Rose as a band auditioned together, and only Woo-sung made the audition.
I'm so sorry. The Rose. Actually semi-successful K-pop band, The Rose.
Yeah, and only Woo-sung made it through the audition, and then Woo-sung made it to the finale, was one of the finale bands, and that was whatever. But then when they didn't win, Woo-sung back to the Rose.
Back to the Rose he went, which semi-disintegrated that year.
So my other problem with Superband 2 specifically is I hate the band that won Superband 2. I do not vibe with them at all. I generally dislike them on the show as a whole. And I don't enjoy them, and I think that really sours my entire view of that season. Is just because I hate the winner.
Fair.
And it's because the winner is literally 4 or 5 people who were in a band together when they went on the show. And they picked up a keyboardist or something at the band creation part, and then they ended up winning.
Then they just kind of,
and the thing is that they're very much like a metal band. They dress really weird, almost like Kiss style, metal band. And I just do not vibe with it at all, and I don't like them at all. And it's such a stark difference from Lucy and Happy Pola, who are the 2 top runners of season 1, that I'm just I don't think I like it nearly as much. Not even close. No.
So where do you want to put these?
Superman 1, I think I'm gonna put in Zoom, and then Superman 2, I'm gonna put in
ice cream or dinner.
Dinner, probably.
Dinner. Okay.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's Boys 24.
Here's the thing with Boys 24. I have seen so many performances of this show before, one, I even realized that that's Boys 24, and 2, why are so many of them so good?
They do have a lot of good performances. Here's the thing with Boys 24. This is the most useless survival show that exists. On the face of the planet. It is absolutely terrible.
When you explain to me what the actual... Because I had seen all of the unit songs of Boys 24, but I thought that, is this a new group that's happening? No. So Boys 24 made Into It.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with all the other ins that we've gotten this year.
And let me tell you how many steps we had to go through before we made it to Into It. So, Boys 24 is only 8 episodes long, and essentially
short.
It has all, and essentially all they do in the show is they have all these kids, whatever, they do this, whatever, they split them into different colored units, essentially, and they're essentially going to compete together in their units over the course of the show. And if they lose, sometimes they gotta eliminate people in their units, sometimes whole units get eliminated. It's kind of up in the air what we're doing with that every time.
Live a life.
So at the end of the show of Boys 24, we get 5 or something units who are the winners, declared the winners of the show. And what they're gonna do for a year and a half after the show airs is that they're gonna perform all of these weird concerts, AKB48 style, in this concert hall every day for a year.
It's very questionable.
Apparently they did 260 concerts.
That's ridiculous.
Over the course of that year.
That's ridiculous.
They essentially also, out of these kids that won at the end, there is essentially they would pick out promotional units, and so they'd pick random members or whatever, and if you ever heard of Unit Black, that's a promotional unit made out of random people from here.
The thing with Unit Black had a song that I really enjoyed, and that's really, like, why I had heard about the show, and then I'd never seen the actual content of it. Mm-hmm. It's such a much like how we said Under 19 convoluted. Is a refreshing take.
This is not it. Exhausting. This is not the way. Because you can watch this show and then be invested, but it doesn't matter because the final group isn't debuting until a year later because they're performing all these concerts, and I still don't even know how they chose the final members of Into It. Like, I don't know if that was by, like, random voting, or I don't even know.
Was it, like, merch? Was it, like, a merch situation? Did they all have merch? Like, how was the process? I need receipts.
So they had 4 units or whatever, and they were doing stuff, and then they did concerts, blah, blah, blah. Hang on. I really don't know.
My question is also, why is it called they Boys 24? Lineup. Because nothing about this, the name of the show itself is ridiculous.
There was 24 people who won the show, is what happened.
No, there wasn't.
I'm pretty sure
it's only like 10 people.
No, it's 24 who won, and then we're gonna perform concerts.
I'm just saying that Into It
and so we got
the
that
actual
at least.
Winner of this, and that doesn't work.
No, it's just really the worst. It was like, it is a weird, like, AKB48 situation, but they made a survival show aspect to it that was really unnecessary. And so if you wanted to be involved into Boys 24,
you kind of had to
you had to be in Korea, and you also had to follow them for, like, over a year after that show was ended. So there was just a lot of extra things you have to do to be involved in that. I think it's a bad concept for a show. I don't want it to be done ever again.
And luckily it has not been, because Into It was not that big of a success. The other thing is just, like, you look at the actual, what's it called? If you look at the actual performances done on the show, they deserve so much more, because they're good. They were good.
They got really good and talented people on Boys 24. I'll give them that. Like, they got good people.
These boys deserved so much more than what they got.
Oh yeah.
Because, like, I've seen a lot of these performances, but because I just assumed that this was much more of a straightforward produce ripoff. It was not. Apparently this is convoluted as fuck. We did not want to get sued like Idol producer.
I had to do, like, a deep dive into this show to actually understand what was going on, because I watched it and I'm like, I feel like I still don't understand the point of this show. And then I was like, I guess I'm right, because there was a whole extra year of stuff that was happening where it was like the unit that won got, like, extra money for promotional activities, and then some of the units got brand deals and got to do CFs, and it was like, what are we doing? Like, I don't, like, why do we have to be this complicated?
This is pointless tonight.
It was really pointless. I didn't enjoy it. It's a bad show. It's a bad format. I don't ever want to see this format of a survival show again. So we're going down here with the other producers.
Do you want to put it up, because the performances are so good, though.
I guess we'll give it a little bit because it has talented people, so it's got that going for it at least.
So we've kind of spoken about Queendom. We haven't spoken about Queendom a lot. Queendom
is boring. It's pretty boring on a retrospective, because we had talked about doing a Queendom retrospective episode and then realized I have nothing to say about it.
In a weird way, we watched it as it aired. We had discussions about it, but and we talked about a decent amount about Queendom. And then when we were getting ready for Road to Kingdom, I believe. Yes, this is around Road to Kingdom.
It was either when we were doing it was when we were getting ready for Kingdom. We were like, should we do a Queendom retrospective? Yeah, should we do a Queendom retrospective?
Yeah, it was around Kingdom time that we rewatched all of the performances together, and we realized we had nothing to say.
Because there's are some, like, really nice standouts on Queendom, but there's a lot of bad, and there's a lot of, like, boring. This is boring, yeah.
Because, like,
everything that Park Bom does on Queendom, boring. I just don't want to talk about or see ever again in my life.
Most of what Mamamoo did was very just by the, like, fine. It's fine. Like, it's not bad, it's just fine.
Yeah. AOA had some kind of okay, and then a lot of boring.
G-Idol was mostly boring. A couple of, like, pretty bad. Like, the Lovelies had some choices.
Lovelies had, like, some really bad ones.
Yeah. And then Oh My Girl did great. Consistently great. The thing with it also is just that it's a new format, and then I also just think that they were still trying to figure out. I don't know if it was because it was girl groups, and they were like, oh, well, this will be a fun thing, but it's not nearly as competitive as either of the Kingdom seasons.
So here's my thing as well. I think also the weird thing with Queendom is I like every single group on Queendom a lot. And I did at the time I was watching it, except for like Park Bomb. Like I don't really care about Park Bomb. But I liked AOA a lot at the time. I liked Mamamoo a lot. I liked Lovelyz, Oh My Girl, G-Idol. I liked all of those groups a lot. Those are like some of my top girl groups.
Yeah,
and somehow I came away from the show so bored.
I felt not, because again, what they got out of the show was, because nothing about any Kingdom or Queendom has great stakes. The stakes are so low.
We got no stakes. This is the lowest stake survival show.
The thing was, the boys will at least, I think for the fans and for the delusion of fans, obviously, will just put in something. They'll put in, like, pretending that there are stakes into this. The girls, not so much. They just kind of are there to just do their job and keep going.
Right.
And also, we didn't even get bullshit idol sports day for them to have fun.
We didn't. We had, like, a fun, like, barbecue picnic, but that was fine, I guess.
I think Queendom's gotta go like ice cream. I was so
It's not
bored.
good. I'm so bored. And this is the thing I've been thinking about a lot, is if Kingdom is better than Road to Kingdom or not.
I still don't know.
I think I ended up with, I think Kingdom is better.
I think I agree with you, only because I think overall the performances are better.
There were so much higher highs on Kingdom, but there were a lot of lower lows. But the lower lows were at least still, like, entertaining, at least. They were so bad that it was entertaining. That was a train wreck,
That's the thing. The low lows of Road to Kingdom, I'm thinking you're very, very Monse's.
You're very, very Aladdin,
Genie.
Coco Bebe. We got the Pentagon, Egyptian, Follow, and Mad Max, very good. I'll Kill This Love, yeah.
The Mad Max on of it all, like, all of those are some low lows. And our highs are good, but they don't have
our highs aren't nearly as high. Our highs are like The Boys. Anything The Boys was doing was essentially a high.
A lot of One Us's stuff was very good.
Very, very put out like one good performance the entire time they were there. Yeah. So Golden Child was great until they got eliminated.
2 performances in. That 2 Rising Sun, I still stand by. 2 Rising
Sun, yeah.
We have a full discussion on every episode if you want to go watch that.
And it's like, but I think the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low as the Kingdom lows.
Yeah.
So it makes it all a little bit like middling. So at least it was like Kingdom is maybe more frustrating, but it was like it was like we were on both like extreme ends most of the time. So that makes it a little bit more fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, I think we gotta put this in, like, Zoom. I had a good time.
I did have a good time. I think that goes there. Yeah, Kingdom and then this one a tier below it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd put them on the same tier.
Or do we do it, like, do this?
Do that, because I genuinely, like, because I think back to, like, anything SF9 did.
SF9 did so good.
Half of what ATEEZ did, because
half of ATEEZ.
Like,
most of Icon
Wonderland,
I really liked.
Great. Oh, God.
Wonderland's great.
And then we got Full Dash, which was phenomenal.
Full Dash,
everything that the It's Me. It's You?
It's one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The It's One team did was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You got your low lows, but I was flabbergasted by what they were able to accomplish in those low lows. Flabbergasted.
Yep. It's really something.
So that is Hit the Stage.
Yeah, so after this I have this section of shows that I consider I call them quote-unquote talent competitions, because they're things that are, like, specifically meant to be, like, either rap or dance or, like, singing bass. It's like it's not as really a survival show. It's like your American Idol style show.
So we're really just, and also a lot of these are barely competitions.
Yeah, so the first one is Hit the Stage, which
is love Hit the Stage.
We keep saying that this is a show that Mnet needs to revive, because it's like the perfect format for like some type of like low stakes competition reality show.
Every episode has a winner. You essentially are going like the first it's essentially a beat out style game where like the first person that dances, everyone has the same theme, you dance, and then is the next person better or worse than you, or you vote for that, and it's just a round style, which is great. I love that style of voting. Great. You're not spending a lot of time on it. It is what it is. Everyone goes home happy.
There are no stakes. You can just get random people on to do like one round at a time.
Yeah, you only need to be there for Taemin did one round.
Yeah, Taemin and Hoya both came in and did a round and then left and won and left.
Hoya did two.
Yeah, but then they won and then they left.
Rocky did a round. 10 was there on for basically the whole show.
10 was there a lot, yeah.
Shoni was there for a while. Like, you're getting a lot of different...
Hyoyeon from Girls' Generation was there a lot.
Like, different people, and then a lot of people just came in for one episode each.
There's that one kid from BIG or something did that one performance that was amazing and then left. Yeah.
Field Dog did a performance that was good.
Field Dog did pretty good on that show, yeah.
What's his name? Hyuna's ex.
Oh, Hyunsung, yeah. Hyunsung was also there.
On there for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's great. It was actually just like a very fun show. The themes were questionable at times. There were good and bad performances. There were a decent amount of bad performances, but like the thing
a lot of bad. Yeah.
But like whenever I think about Hit the Stage, I just remember it as a really good show.
Then when I
think about the minutia of it, I remember that there's
like
a
good
third of them are bad.
Here's the thing, though, is like there's only probably like 20% of the Hit the Stage performances that are good. But do I think the show as a whole is amazing? Yes. And I think that says a lot when the format of the show can literally hold up all of the bad performances that are coming out of it.
That's the thing. Like, it takes me a while to remember the bad because I'm just thinking about like. Because like when I think once
I remember Shonu was on the show, then I'm like, oh yeah, that was bad. That was a really bad time. But other than that, it's like a lot of the ones that come to mind aren't the bad ones anyway. It's like both the Hoyas were good, and then Yukwon's other Joker performance was really good, and then Field Dog
performance was phenomenal.
Taemin was great. Field Dog did a lot of good things. 10 did a lot of good things. Yeah.
That one guy from BIG, his performance was actually the biggest surprise we'd ever seen.
Amazing.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah,
we were so shocked when I don't think I'd ever seen that one until recently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think that's a cup of milk right there.
Oh yeah, the show is great. I need them to do it again, please. It's so good. So this is Dancing High. Dancing High is a little bit of a different format than like essentially every other show here because it wasn't really like K-pop based. They had like a handful of like dance mentors. So one of them was Hoya, one of them was Sang-hoon from Winner, and one of them was Ki Kwang from Beast.
I want to mention members of Winner, not the first thing I think of when I think dance.
So yeah, Sang-hoon and Ki Kwang were both very confusing choices for me because one of the other ones was Leah Kim, and then the other one was a breakdancing crew essentially, and like as a whole they were the mentors.
I want to point out. Two of these people not like the others.
Yep, very much not like the others. It was confusing, the choices for mentors there. But anyway, so Jisung from NCT was on this show, actually. He was on Hoya's team, which was honestly great for me because I wanted to watch it for Hoya, and the fact that Jisung was on Hoya's team made it easier to watch the parts that I cared about. Yeah.
If you've ever seen, a lot of people only know Dancing High from that one Greatest Showman themed performance. Yes, that's that show. This is that show.
If you've ever also seen Jisung's duo like performance to Barcode, that's also where that's from. It's from this show.
We'll get to more about Barcode.
Oh yeah, we will get to more about Barcode on this pretty soon. But essentially what it is that there's all these high school students who came on who are very into dancing, and then
one of them being Jisung of NCT.
One of them from Jisung out of NCT. And they essentially they essentially got to pick one of these people whose team they wanted to be on, and then I don't really know how they divided up the team, but they all divided up into these different team mentors, and then they would have like group battles every week. So there would be a group performance, and then there would be either like a duet or like a solo performance by someone or something like that as well, and then they would like average the scores from that, and then the losing person had to eliminate like 2 or 3 people from their team. Honestly, the elimination part of the show was not really that big because almost everyone was still there besides like maybe like 6 people by the time the finale rolled around, and then one of the teams just ended up being the winner. I don't honestly know if they won anything.
I don't think
at
it
the end
really
of the show.
matters. I feel like this is a show of low stakes.
The stakes also, not high. I think it was more so of just like a really good experience for the kids who were on the show to get like dance mentoring experience. Hoya's team, I think, my favorite, but I think that's like, I'm also very biased
on that
towards them. I do think that Hoya's team and Leah's Kim's team, and then Just Jerk was the other team, significantly better than Ki Kwang's team and then Sang-hoon from Winner. Sang-hoon from Winner was clearly the worst team to me, and it makes a lot of sense because I'm like, I don't understand why he is here to begin with as a dance mentor.
Make that coin, buddy, but like I don't think this is the show.
This is not the show for you. Ki Kwang's team, I had a turnaround actually in the middle of the show where their first couple performances were like very iffy, and he, I think, actually lost like the first round, but then he came back around right after that and won the second round because they had one of their duo performances was essentially like an It-based performance. It was like It the Clown. That was super, super good, and I think that performance, lifted up their team's score enough that time that their group performance was good enough that they won that next round. So he actually did pretty good. Leah Kim and then the two teams that were just actually had dance mentors obviously gonna do better. Yes. Like it's kind of bizarre that there was such a difference in quality of the people they picked for the mentors. But it's fun. It's not a typical Survivor show. It is another low stakes show. But I do think that the performances were good. I can't think of anything that was significantly bad from it either. So
no,
it was a fun show.
Yep. I would say like Zoom. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll put this one here. So this is K-Pop Star Season 2, specifically because that's the only season of K-Pop Star that I've seen.
Mainly for the one.
So this is the season that Akmu won, and then Baggy Dam of Treasure came in second place to them.
Which again, how did YG snag both of these people? Why? I will never understand why Akmu's in YG.
I know, I think they, like, YG just kind of lets them do whatever the hell they want, so, and it's like, they get the money, so it's like, Fair. It's fine. They're just kind of self-sufficient enough that they don't have to deal with, like, the YG-ness of it all. And then poor Baggy Dan won the show at, like, 10 years old, and then was stuck in the YG dungeon until Treasure Box came around.
For, like, 8 years.
Most of his life, he was in the YG dungeon, trainee dungeon, so...
No, it was, like, how old is he now? He's like 20.
He was literally like 10 years old when he was like on that show. He was a baby.
I think it's been like
he was a baby.
Jesus. Yeah. This poor man. Boy. Child.
Yep.
Infant. I swear.
A whole child.
The thing with K-Pop Star is that there's many seasons of K-Pop Star. This is the only one I slightly cared about. Because, again, Akmu. Mainly
Season 1 has a decent amount of, like notable people on it too, and that's because that has Park Jimin, it has Lehigh on it, it has Baek Ayana on it, Jay from Day 6 is on that one, and Sang-yoon of Winner is on that season. So season 1 also has a lot of people.
Here's the thing with that. Season 1 is also really old. By the time I knew about it, this show aired from like 2011 to 2017. This show is very old at this point.
Yes.
I don't watch this show as a show. I watch clips of this show. And the thing with this show is that all the seasons intermingle into one long season of one show. Because I don't care about it as a show. I care about it for the people.
I care because the people I care about were on this show.
Exactly.
Is essentially
I've seen the Jamie clips. I didn't realize Jamie and Jay were on season 1. I didn't realize they were on the same seasons of that show. Because I've seen all of their clips independent of each other. Unfortunately, we do actually have to talk about the YG of it all again. He's
he is on it. Again, so K-Pop Star, the closest format to K-Pop Star, it's very similar to American Voice, is what I would say. Essentially because it's like, it has similar auditions, but they don't do the blind audition thing, but essentially if you pass the audition, you get to pick one of 3 companies that you get to go to. And so one of them is YG, one of them is SM.
One of them is JYP.
And one of them is JYP. So those are the big 3 companies at the time. SM is going to drop out for Antenna Music at some point in time over the course of K-Pop Star because SM I just didn't care anymore. And I guess they wanted to have more of like an indie music label representation there as well. So that happens eventually. Okay, so it's fine. The thing with K-Pop Star that is weird is because it is a lot of children on it. It's not like in the voice style where you have full adults. It's like literally Baggy Dem is 10 years old on this show, and Akmu are like probably like 13 and like 14.
Jamie was a baby. Everybody was just so.
Everyone is so young. So young on K-Pop Star.
K-Pop Star again molds into one long because the show concept never changes, and also like. You don't really get immediate success from K-Pop Star. K-Pop Star is really just how you get into a company, and then you will debut years later.
So that's my thing with K-Pop Star.
Out of K-Pop Star.
So my thing with K-Pop Star is I don't think it does a lot of anything for the people who win it or are on it. Honestly,
by the time you
Akmu is by far the most successful group or person to come out of K-Pop Star. And they're really, everyone else is like, I don't think it has done a lot for the people who have won or anything.
K-Pop Star, people forget you were in K-Pop Star.
Oh,
people have moved on. That show, like, there are still people that could, because they were fucking 10 years old when it aired. Like, there's still people that could be debuting that were on K-Pop Star. The show's been off the air for like 5 years. No one cares anymore. Because
like people go on there as children. Like, they're so young when they are on K-Pop Star. It's ridiculous. It's so bad. The show itself is like, I don't love it just because it is kind of very similar to the format of like American Voice, and that's not a show that I like. So
yeah, my biggest problem is also I don't like children voices. You can see talent there. They just need to be 5 years older. That's my big problem.
The last season of K-Pop Star, the winners of that were 2 like 12-year-old boys. One of them is Jungsub of P1 Harmony. So. Yep, but he is also like he won that show in 2017 and then debuted in 2020. So he was 13 or something when he won that, and then like debuted at 16. So it's like that show really didn't do anything for him because he was under YG and then like was on Treasure Box and then like didn't win Treasure Box. So now he went to FNC. So it's like
this would have been the journey he would have gone on anyway.
Yeah, it's like the people who are on that show, it's like they just, if they debut, it's just like the journey of any regular trainee. Yeah.
This is essentially live company auditions, really.
Yeah.
So
I don't love it. It's kind of boring.
Ice cream or
ice
dinner?
Cream, yeah. I'm going to put in ice cream because I think this next show I'm going to put in a tier below it. Because, so this is SuperstarK.
Oh, that is like a less good version of
it's a less good version of K-Pop Star. So this is essentially what Korean American Idol is the format of K-Pop Star, because the people on that show tend to be older, like we're leading into like late teenager adult territory now, and also like winning SuperstarK. It doesn't mean you're really it's not because it's not K. It doesn't do anything, and it's also not K-pop specific. This is more like indie artist, kind of a realm that we're in for SuperstarK.
You know, when you look at the people that were on this show, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of seasons. Mm-hmm. Most of them don't matter. Busker came runner up in 3. John Park, if you count that, Roy Kim came first in season 4. So this is
season 4 specific I'm talking about because this is the season Roy Kim won, and so this is also the addendum on this season that super canceled Burning Sun man Jung Jin Young came in 3rd place on this season. Before that whole thing happened, I really liked him and the Roy Kim friendship, and I thought it was fun. And so essentially I watched this season to see where that friendship had started from, and it was incredibly cute and adorable at the time.
And I hope that they
and on a retrospective,
it's very troubling.
Very much troubling. Yeah.
So we're gonna put that in Dinner's Ready and move on.
Yep, so there goes that one. So this is High School Rapper 1 and 2. It is honestly shocking how different High School Rapper 2 is from High School Rapper 1 as a show. It went through a complete format change from season 1 to season 2. Because season 1 is essentially show me the money for high schoolers. That is how the show is formatted. That is how the show goes out. It's got the same vibe as Show Me the Money, except there are just high schoolers on it. It is baby Show Me the Money.
It is Show Me the Money for people that would have gotten destroyed on Show Me the Money.
Yeah, it is Show Me the Money for babies. Yeah.
They would have gotten bullied on real Show Me the Money.
Mark from NCT's on High School Rapper 1. He makes the finale. He makes it very far.
He does very well. Barcode is from High School Rapper 2? 1. 1, yes.
Sunwoo of the Boys is also on High School Rapper 1. He does less well than Mark, but he does make it through the initial, like, audition process, but is eliminated in the round after that.
He does.
Essentially how the show worked is that they had, like, a, like, weird pop-up, like, audition stages in, like, several, like, segments of Korea. And then they picked, like, the top 8 or so people from each of those places, and then they brought them together, and it was like, okay, well, now we need 3 representatives from all of these things, so then they competed against themselves, got a top 3, and then they would go do, like, either, like, rap, like, cypher battles, or just, like, you know, you regular Show Me the Money style, like, rap performances type things, until they eliminated enough people, and then we got the finale. The finale has usually about, like, at least, like, 5 to 6 people in it. So it's a decent amount of people at the finale, but the format of it is pretty similar to Show Me the Money.
Yeah.
At least early Show Me the Money. I don't know how recent Show Me the Money is formatted, and if it's any different from, like, original, like, older seasons of Show Me the Money, but it's at least similar. It's, like, very similar to, like seasons, like, 1 through, like, 4 of Show Me the Money is what I would say, so... Season 2 of High School Rapper, very different because now it feels like this is an Mnet show. It's like these both aired on Mnet, but season 2 was really like, now we are an Mnet show. We have Mnet editing. It is like, this is an Mnet
we are
rap
making
show.
This for children.
Yeah, it's the vibe. The complete vibe and style of the show is literally so different. It feels like a different show.
More child friendly. It feels like it is made
100% more child friendly.
Because I feel like High School Rapper 1 is baby Show Me the Money. It has the same editing as Show Me the Money. It just feels like another Show Me the Money season. Whereas High School Rapper 2 feels like if Produce was entirely rap focused.
If Produce was a rap show, that's High School Rapper 2, 100%. The format's very different because they start with, like, 38 people already who have been, like, screened and gone through, like, initial auditions already.
To make sure that they're not delinquents.
Like, right? And then it's very funny because at least half of them are returning from High School Rapper 1.
So you see a lot. It's fine.
You see a lot of the same people and they're friends and they know each other and it's real cute. Hui Young from SF9. Yeah, Hui Young from SF9's on it, so that's cute. He does fine. He doesn't do super well. He does about as well as Sunwoo the Boys does on the High School Rapper.
Well,
he gets it to about the same point.
How much rapping is Hui Young doing in SF9 at this time?
None. Exactly. That's literally, like, his storyline is he comes in and he was like, I was literally allowed to say, like, 5 syllables in our debut song, and now I'm here to, like, you know, actually rap because that's what I've been studying all of my training years, so... He actually does pretty well for, like, his, like, 2 things he gets to do there. One of the best things for me about Show Me the Money 2 is that the entire season, for me, the big point is this relationship between these 2 kids, Hanon and Vixen. Those are the 2 who sing Barcode.
Barcode.
Eventually. And I think their friendship and then that song specifically is, like, such a good... like, sort of structure to, like, view the entire show in.
I feel like Barcode is not a song I, like, would enjoy. Like, it's full on just a rap song done by 2 very young, not very young, but, like, young guys.
Like, high school kids, yeah.
And I'm like, this feels like it should be trash.
Right?
And yet it's great.
It's great. It's lyrically one of my favorite, like, songs that exist ever. I think it's amazing. And it honestly is such, like, a good representative of their friendship. Because Han is, like, this incredibly, like, happy, upbeat, like, adorable child. And then
Sweet
the
boy.
other kid is, like, super, super depressed and, like,
He's
pessimistic
like,
about life.
Everything... It is very much the archetypical. If this it almost feels like a drama. Those two.
It does. It honestly feels like a drama.
This isn't like you can't.
Like someone wrote that storyline and had those two acted out. Like it feels unreal
because they're so
how different they are.
Attract.
They're about as opposite as they could be, and then but Han just like attaches himself to that kid.
He's like,
yeah.
you need help. I'm gonna help you. Don't worry.
Han just literally attaches himself to this kid that he like, who is just, he looks like a little bit scary because he's got the long hair in front of his eyes, so like he can't really see, and so he just looks super unapproachable. But then Han sees him and is like, "No, you're my best friend now, and I'm not leaving you alone.
We are friends. God,
we're friends now.
I will make this happen."
And then over the course of the show, you just see them slowly becoming friends, and then him slowly becoming a little bit less depressed, and it's just adorable. I love seeing that friendship over the entire season.
It really just is a very sweet friendship. I'm very happy for them. I hope they're still friends.
I hope they are too. I actually have no idea if they are because I don't really follow rap that much, but
like if anybody knows, if there was a falling out, don't tell us.
Don't tell me. I would like to believe that they're still friends.
If they're still friends, tell us. If they're not, don't tell us.
Yes.
Let us live in our ignorance.
Yes.
I think both seasons are kind of on par with each other.
They're kind of about the same. They're different, but they're like similar.
Go Zoom.
Yeah.
I think both of them are Zoom.
Yeah.
Now we get
that.
Real Show Me the Money. So
now we get Real Show Me the Money. I have only seen Show Me the Money season 3 because that is the season that Bobby was on, and also Drama Fever happened to have it back when that existed, so I just watched it. Yep.
Drama Fever was a very good site. Why is it
was
dead?
A great site. I was literally so sad when Drama Fever died. It was
died
upsetting.
We got like 1 day of notification.
Got 1 day, and it was like Drama Fever's gonna shut down tomorrow, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Anyway, BI also on this season, but doesn't win this season.
He didn't do as well.
BI is having a bad time on this season because I think he forgets his lyrics almost every performance he's on.
And that's not like a thing that BI does regularly. It's only something he does on this season of the show.
I think when you put BI on a survival show, BI just has like panics and like can't do it anymore.
Well, BI also just seems like he just panics in life.
Yes. It was fine. I mean, I'm not big into rapping or Show Me the Money or anything really
with
generally.
Show Me the Money is I feel like it is less accessible to people like us than High School Rapper because it is High School Rapper is rap for children in the way that it will hold your hand. Show Me the Money will never hold your hand. Show Me the Money is gonna throw people and names at you that it expects you to know.
Yeah, it just throws you right into like the Korean rap, like hip-hop R&B realm, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on
that much, but like I'll take it. It's fine.
I'll take it, I guess. It's whatever. I really watched it for Bobby and Bobby alone, and the fact that Bobby won the season meant that a lot of the story of the season got shaped around him. Bobby. Yeah. Him and BI while BI was there. And because of that, I think it made it easier for me to watch because I was following the Bobby storyline the entire time through.
It's a good show. I do think that the performances are phenomenal. Anything Bobby did on that show, great.
Bobby did great. Bobby I mean, I think Bobby definitely deserved to win that show. He was really good.
Oh yeah, on that season And it is
especially specifically on that season. Yeah, I don't think the like competition for him was as great as it would have been in other seasons too.
But
so I think that also helped him.
It's what you got. It was good though. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. It was fun.
I think I put Show Me the Money on par with High School Rapper.
Yeah, I think those are all about the same. I would say.
Oh, now we're back to the YG of it all.
Yeah, so up until we get to the 3 shows that aired this year, these are shows that are company run to specifically form and debut a group at like a specific company.
And I think we can talk about a few of these pretty quickly.
I think we could talk about all 3 of the YG ones together because they really kind of come in a pair.
2 of them together, and then do you want to just talk
So the thing is that YG Treasure Box literally like not any different from like mix and match. It's really just such like nothing.
Here's the thing. I want to talk about Win first. So Win is the group that made iKON, technically iKON and Winner.
Technically only Winner, but iKON is also there.
I am forever shocked that iKON didn't win. Forever.
I think it was shocking to everybody that iKON didn't win that.
So I have actually seen this show. The next 2 a lot of these I've actually seen. So I've seen all of Win and all of Mix and Match.
Yep.
The thing with it will always be is I still maintain that there might have been some fixing there because I genuinely believe that if Winner hadn't won,
Winner doesn't debut. Winner does not debut if iKON wins it. Yeah.
If Winner wins it, then yes, of course he's gonna go debut iKON. I think YG had
such large favoritism towards iKON that of course he was gonna make an entire other survival show specifically for iKON because he needed to debut them under like any circumstances.
Mainly just because I do, and honestly, looking at the performance on the show, I will give it to I still give it to iKON that I do think they did better on
Winner. Winner I don't think did that great on it. I don't think they were spectacularly better.
I adore this show because you get so many fun performances. You get to see both Day 6 and GOT7 in this show.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
One episode.
And you get that one episode.
And you get like one of my favorite songs on any reality show ever.
Yeah.
Climax was phenomenal. Oh, it's so good. Just the entirety of like this 1 minute BI rap where he's just like having a mental breakdown on the stage.
Oh man, it's a rough performance to watch. It's really,
you feel it to your core. If you don't feel anything during that performance, you're broken on the inside.
Yes. It is spectacular, that performance. I remember they talked about performing it for Kingdom, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea.
It's like 5 minutes long. Like, it's a very long song.
Also, BI isn't there anymore.
I feel like it's a betrayal. And
I feel like that's a bad idea.
I feel like that the stakes here are very different.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't think we want to have like a Pentagon style breakdown on the stage again. Like, probably shouldn't do that.
Mind you, we have already talked, and we've said this before, that we're going to talk about all 4 survival shows that Bobby has been on, and like he's won 2 of them, technically. Because Mix and Match in a weird way. If you've not seen Win essentially had
it had Winner versus iKON.
So Team A, it were called the Team A and Team B, and they were 2 fully formed groups at the time. So no one really changed in either group. It was YG presenting 2 groups to the public, doing certain challenges, then the public would decide if it was Team A or Team B. Winner obviously won, and then the members of iKON would go on to do Mix and Match, where they were essentially, in a weird way,
I don't really know what we were competing for on Mix and Match entirely.
They were competing to debut, but there was more people than that, there were.
Because they added like 3 extra people, and only there's only so many spots in the group.
But
except the thing is that everyone who was on Win was pretty much going to debut, and they only really were voting on one of the 3 new people. So which ended up being Chanwoo, and then Hong Suk of Pentagon was also there, but he didn't make it.
Hong Suk of Pentagon was I don't. Chanwoo.
He was there. It was between him and Chanwoo. So we got Chanwoo, and that's fine. iKON's great with Chanwoo.
It's fine. But the thing here is that it's obvious that all of the members, and the beginning they were all very angry because I feel like they were scared YG was gonna pull bullshit. And I'm like, fair. You are in the YG company. You are smart.
I mean, that's not uncommon for YG.
Yeah. So
and I'm pretty sure halfway through the show, YG announced that it was like Bobby, BI, and Jinhwan were pretty much guaranteed to be in the group.
No shit.
So that they were just there.
No shit.
And it was like you he's like, you have to worry about it anymore because you're just gonna be in the group.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, he wasn't gonna debut Bobby and BI, who before coming on to Mix and Match had already done Show Me the Money.
Gone on Show Me the Money 3.
We already had Bobby winning Show Me the Money 3 at this time.
Yeah.
So like it went from like win to Show Me the Money 3 to Mix and Match to years later doing Kingdom.
To Kingdom eventually. Oof. Yep.
Honestly, I think Win is a really good show.
I think it's really good. I think Win is a better show than Mix and Match because it makes more sense than Mix and Match.
I kind of want to put one of them in Cup of Milk.
I like Win as a show
Win
a lot.
can go in there, and I think Mix and Match can go in like Queso. Or, yeah.
Then
so Treasure Box, which is
YG Treasure Box. YG Treasure Box is like if like Win was on steroids, but like not in a good way.
In like the worst possible way.
In like the worst possible way.
And then he pulls the YG of it all at the end.
Yeah, so the other thing with Treasure Box and watching it on a retrospective is that it's hard to watch the show realizing the results of the show don't mean anything.
Yep, because in the end, YG Treasure Box created 2 groups. What was it?
Well, it was initially supposed to create 1 group.
But then he decided that he decided,
no, I'm going to debut an extra 5 or 6 people in the secondary group, but then they were like, we're just going to put them all in the same group.
Because because Burning Sun happened and then a bunch of people left.
Yeah, and it was like, maybe we don't want 2 groups, maybe we just want one 13-member boy group, yeah.
Honestly, I think
and so the same thing with Treasure Box, they have the same kind of thing with Win, where they have a Team A, they have a Team B, but they also have a Team C, and then we bring in Japan, so we have a Team J.
Because racism.
Because racism, and then, but also, because we're competing for 1 group and we're not competing in teams, the team names kind of don't really mean anything.
We're technically competing in a group, but graded individually.
Yeah. It's everyone for themselves, really, is
honestly,
what's happening here.
I think that YG just was like, I know how to do, like, he saw Mix and Match, Mix 9, and was like, this didn't work. Let me go back to what I know and just do, Win again.
Mm-hmm.
And then realize that it doesn't work when you have, like,
it doesn't
40
work
people.
when you have 40 people.
So it's like, fuck it, let's just get more groups. But it doesn't
essentially
matter.
The way it's like their teams work is Team A is the oldest, have been there the longest. Team B is a little bit less long. Team C is like the baby team, but Team C is where we have like 12 and 13-year-olds. And then we bring in Japan for what other reason, then I guess we're just gonna, for fun, I guess. But it's just so weird. A lot of the things they do on the show, it's like the rounds are like, they are just like, they do a lot of like rearranging into like what YG calls, because YG the man was also on this show. This was before Burning Sun. He was like, yeah, maybe I only want 5 people in the group, and so he'll go all these things, then we'll put 5 people in the like whoever in the debut group, but then it gets like rearranged so often, and the amount of people he wants also changes so often that it's like it's just kind of like a shit show.
And then
it's really a shit show.
And then really in the end, because of Burning Sun, you end up with just whoever is left. Whoever stuck it out in YG till after the Burning Sun thing kind of faded away is who's in Treasure. So really, you just had to stick it out.
Yeah, because like a lot of them obviously up and left. 2 of them up and left and went to 6, and then Jongsup went to P1 Harmony, and then some of them went on Produce X. Like YG actually sent people to produce that year.
Yep.
And neither of them did well.
But like they were
some
there.
Some of them went to Produce Japan.
They did.
And are just in Japan. Yeah. So it's like that was just like an absolute disaster of a show. It was like really bad.
It really doesn't like. The YG of it all really brings all of his shows
The YG
down.
Of it all.
Like, I feel like Mix and Match are high ranked in spite of the man.
Really, probably are.
I kind of want to put it, mainly just because Treasure is also not great, like Ice Cream or Dinner.
It's like, we're going down here with that, yeah.
Next we have Island.
Here we have Island.
So, my thoughts on this show are very well documented. Kayla's thoughts on the show are also now documented.
We do also have extensive thoughts of Island, yes.
I still have so many thoughts about Island. considering that today I was delivered 3 ENHYPEN albums, because I'm trash. I'm trash. But, the show is, I'll start with the bad. I'll concede on the bad. The show is extremely depressing. The show has no levity to it.
This is such an unenjoyable show to watch. It's really not, it's not fun. Like, I did not have a fun time watching that show.
In a weird way, it is because they are allowed to see no person because this film was filmed in the middle of COVID. Not a singular person was allowed around these boys. Because they are scared that they're gonna kill one of the kids. I will say, I will give it this. I did enjoy the fucking no bullshit of the fact that they were like, you only get half the power as the people. They were able to sort of mold this group to how they wanted it while bending the rules. I think Mnet learned you cannot just break your own rules.
You can't just manipulate it whatever you want.
You can manipulate it. You just have to put a rule in where you can manipulate it.
Yeah, that has to be like an actual part of the show.
People need to consent while watching the show that you're gonna manipulate, and I'm like, fair. I consent to this. I know you're gonna do it. I'm fine with it. But I like the boys are so sweet. I love the boys. The boys are sweet. The one thing I'll give it is it should have had more different performances. The performances were mostly original. There was a lot of original songs. And a lot of BTS songs.
A lot of BTS. There was so much BTS.
A lot of BTS, a lot of original songs. I still have fond memories, though. But maybe it's because it's the one time I watched one of these shows as it airs. I might be biased, but I really enjoyed it.
I don't like it, and now and more recently, I'm like not as much of a fan of ENHYPEN's music either. So it's just like, it was really just like not a fun show for me.
You just thought really, it was extremely depressing.
It was so depressing. It was just not, and it was like, I watched survival shows for them to be at least a little bit fun, and not a single moment of that show was fun. It was not fun at all. I had fun
because weirdly, the fact that it was so depressing made me so invested in helping these sweet boys. Again, I bought all 3 versions of the ENHYPEN album.
It's the emotional manipulation.
I'm in a weird emotionally abusive relationship with HYBE labels. It's fine. It's fine. They just have a direct line to my credit card now. We're totally fine. But I enjoyed it.
I'm curious to see how Island 2 is gonna go. Post, like, it's mostly post pandemic. To see if it's gonna be any different.
Maybe they'll allow them to be taught dances by people and not iPads.
By actual people, yeah.
True.
Maybe we'll see.
I will give this to you, Kayla, in that I think it still needs to be rated positively. I'll give you Zoom tier. I will not allow you to put this lower.
There it goes.
16, the show that made Twice.
16 is Twice. So 16 is honestly like the original concept of Island, essentially. Because it has but it's more fun for me. It was not nearly as depressing.
Worse.
I think it's better. I think it's a lot better than Island.
I cared a lot about the boys of Island. I didn't care for the girls of Twice. Maybe it's because I watched it in retrospect.
I also watched it in retrospect, and I still found it more enjoyable and like more fun than Island. Just vibe-wise was better. I honestly think that JYP is like pretty good at
he's
doing
fine.
Like K-pop survival shows.
I just thought that the show overall was just pointless if JYP had the power to essentially just make the group, because that's essentially what he did.
He added Momo and Sui right at the end. Sui was a viewer choice vote, I think, and then Momo was the JYP team decided that they needed her in the group.
I'm just saying that essentially, like, this is just, again, whereas I feel like other shows are like, no, the manipulation, we gotta, like, undercurrent. It's just like, no, full on, like, yeah, no, we just did it. Mind you, I feel the same way about a show we don't have on here because we haven't seen it, but I feel the same thing about Stray Kids, where I'm like, this is a waste of my time.
Well, the thing with the Stray Kids is that I think the purpose of that show was useless. I think it should have been marketed as this is just a pre-debut show and not as a survival show.
Because it wasn't a survival show.
Because that aspect of the show was useless.
Literally every person that enjoyed every person that started that show, debuted in the show, not a singular person was cut, not a singular person left of their own accord. Not a singular person was added.
The same thing with Pentagon Maker. Exactly the same thing, where 3 people didn't officially win that show, but they debuted anyway. So it's like, what's the point?
Here's another one you don't have that I know that I think both of us have seen. You didn't have No Mercy on here.
I haven't seen No Mercy.
Oh, I've seen all of No Mercy.
Didn't care about No Mercy.
I watched all of No Mercy. No Mercy is another one where I felt the same way as I do about 16. A lot of these that just make one group by the company feel very, very samey to me.
That's the thing with them, is that because they're run by the company really has like so much control over what they want to do with it. Yeah. And it's like, the way, when we talk about Dancer Band next, like that also was so rigged for rigged. SF9, it's ridiculous.
Look, I'm sorry, was it ever not going to be SF9?
That was SF9's debut show, Dancer Band. Like, that's what that show was.
Because I feel like 16 I almost want to put on par with Island.
I think it's a better version of Island, just because I think some of the challenges they did in 16 were more creative, and they're not things that I see often from survival shows. True. They're like things that are like because they had one whole round that was based on like doing a photo shoot and modeling, and that's a thing that's obviously very important for K-pop idols, but it's not a thing that you would see.
My thing is that early Twice is real rough for me, so a lot of the performances
are more rough.
They're rough. That's the thing where I'm like, because again, I think a lot of the challenges are fun and they're good. I just think that like the core of it will always just be the performances that like stand the test of time, and a lot of them are. There's
a lot of pretty bad performances on 16. Is what I will say. There are very rough performances there.
And Twice has gotten a lot of early Twice is real rough.
First couple of years of Twice is rough. Like real that's rough. We're not great.
But like we got better. We improved a lot as the girl group Twice.
Yeah.
And then I think Dancer Band I would put a rank higher, just because I think that overall I thought that the show was like the show is more enjoyable. The show is more enjoyable. I think the performances are better. I like seeing. I get a better. I know I like JYP is fine. JYP is good. I like the vibes of FNC because FNC is one of the few companies where I feel like somehow they can manage so many groups well.
Yeah.
There's so many different groups there at the same time doing things, still active, still decently active.
Mm-hmm.
And especially during this time,
CN Blue had a comeback like this week.
CN Blue had a comeback like 3 days ago. SF9 is thriving somewhere.
Yep.
I don't who knows where the fuck Cherry Bullet went, but you know.
Cherry Bullet had a Girls Planet hiatus for a little bit.
Oh, they're on Girls Planet. Good for them.
3 of them went on Girls Planet, but none of them won. So I think they're just gonna be Cherry Bullet again.
They're coming back.
Yeah.
They're coming back. But I think that they are one of the few companies where I enjoy seeing the dynamic within the company, because FNC is not a big enough company where I feel like, again, much like YG, where they're not allowed to look at each other. iKON has admitted that they're not allowed to be around Blackpink.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird rule.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
the thing with FNC as a company, too, is I do feel like they're more, like, senior artists feel more personable to, like, their younger artists than other companies. Because, like, Honky and, like, the whatever is left of, like, CN Blue and FT Island now, they feel, like, very... Like, they hang out with, like younger people or give them gifts and, like, can give them advice. And they
hang out with... And they, like, hang out musically with them as well. Right. Like, it's very, Hwesong was on a Hongi song for his album. Like, it's just been a very... Like, there's a lot of interconnection.
Jaejin straight up played the bass at, like, FN Flying's, like, Japanese concert when they lost their bassist.
Yeah.
Like...
It's such a fun company to see, and I like that there are such good interactions on that show, because a lot of times with these companies, in these company-specific shows, like, Island excluded, I think, mainly for COVID reasons. But, like, you look at Mix and Match and, like, not Dancer Band, Win, and even 16, I feel like there is not as big a interaction amongst these groups, especially with the new ones. Whereas I feel like you got real, genuine mentorship on Dancer Band, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. I really liked it. The only thing that is funny is that how rigged in SF9's...
Not Happy Pola. Honeyest was never gonna win.
Never. At zero chance of winning that show. And it's so funny because it's like, whenever they lost a challenge, they'd have to do some type of punishment or whatever. And, like, Honeyest's punishments, like, ranged from, like, being, like, managers for SF9 one day and, like, cleaning their dorm. And then SF9's punishment sent them to boot camp, and it was, like, a team building, like, boot camp.
It's like, let us become friends. Let us make a moment.
And so it essentially was just like an extra like team building thing for them. And here's Honeyest literally having to dress up in maid outfits and clean SF9's dorm as a punishment.
It was really
it's
not
unfortunate.
Subtle. I kind of want to put subtle. Dancer Band, for as rigged as it was, I kind of want to put it in Cup of Milk. I thought I had so much fun on that show.
It was really fun. I do think also that you do get actual interactions between, like, Honeyest and SF9 that are really fun as well.
Because I don't think that there's genuine animosity.
They seem like they're friends.
I think that there was an unspoken thing of, like, Honeyest, you are going to get to... Like, I feel like there was an unspoken rule of, like, hey...
Like, they knew.
You're gonna get... Like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine. It's gotta be.
They do a whole like reverse like prank on the leaders, where the leaders think they're pranking the members, but the members are actually pranking the leaders. Funny. Yeah, and that's really fun because they essentially just have to like get into an argument together, and they have like the members of like both groups have like so much fun with that, and that's just a really fun scene.
The other thing with that is just I also with Dancer Band, you get the great okay performance, which I still think is an iconic SF9 moment.
Uh-huh.
And
yes.
And also, like, they did not put all that money into training SF9.
Yeah.
To not debut them.
And then, like, in the middle of the show, they're like, we're gonna raise the stakes. And, like, the stakes for Honeyest were, we're gonna postpone your debut. Which is essentially like, well, yeah, no shit. If you lose the show, you're not gonna debut.
And the stakes for SF9 were, you will disband.
Like, we're gonna remove 3 of you if you lose the show.
Essentially you're gonna lose a third.
Yeah.
You're gonna essentially disband current SF9.
3 of you are gonna leave.
They can't be called SF9 at that point. They're gonna be...
Yeah, another SF6.
SF6, which is infinitely worse.
Yeah.
I kind of want to put it in Cup of Milk. I think it's so good. It's so fun.
Yeah. And honestly, the weird thing about this is that I started watching Dancer Band for Honeyest, is because I saw their cover of Heart Attack and their original song Perfume.
And
I liked them...
Good.
So much that I went and watched that show, and then over the course of the show, you were like,
nah, SF9.
Yeah, fell in love with SF9, and then realized Honeyest probably shouldn't debut because they were having like major like leadership problems.
They were having problems on that show. The only unfortunate thing about this show is it's kind of inaccessible now.
It was on V Live. Like the entire show was on V Live when it aired, and like the year after it aired, and that's how I watched it. But I don't know where it is anymore. Yeah.
I also don't. Yeah, it's like it's very hard to find now.
Yeah. There are clips of it still places, but like
you
they're
don't
not
get
like
the fun interactions as much.
Yeah, and that's like really kind of the best part of the show is the
performances are good, and you get a lot of very fun covers of other like I love seeing covers of band songs. Like, yeah, because
SF9 does a cover of I don't remember which FT Island song it is.
Yeah, but they do.
But they cover FT Island.
Yeah, and I love dance covers of band songs. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's My Doll, right?
So this is My Doll. This is the show that made VIX. This is what a survival show made by a company without money looks like.
It's so poor. Not in the way that
really
it's bad, but it is.
I think the show is actually just bad. Like I think it's a bad show.
In so long, but
that's another show that I think is you can't find it anymore.
No, it's all on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's all on YouTube. But, yeah, no, it has the budget of a sandwich.
It's
like, this
so
was
bad.
filmed. It looks... Maybe it's just because it's from, like, 2000 and what? Like...
Oh god,
10?
like 2012 maybe.
When did VIX debut? Let's look that up.
VIX debuted in 2013.
So maybe no, they debuted in 2012. So this is like 2011.
Oh Jesus.
This is like maybe it's because it's filmed in.
No, it's early 2012. It was April to May 2012.
So then they debuted immediately after, because it kind of looks like it was filmed on your fucking iPhone. But I think it's mainly just because it was filmed in 2012, essentially. Mm-hmm. It has no money. They're doing their best.
It's also only half a survival show because we formed the group halfway through and then just followed them to like pre-debut the rest of the way through the show.
It almost doesn't even feel like a survival show. It feels like they had the group, threw in some extras for a hot second.
They did just throw in like randomly like 4 or 5 extra people.
That's what I'm saying. Like, removed the extras. They got their like day pay. Removed them. Then we're like, great. Now this is a pre-debut show. This is also one of the earliest, idol survival shows.
It is one of the earliest ones. Yeah.
It's fine. It's its time to a fault. Like it is. If you watch it, it's 2012 in a past. The hair.
It's like, really, the hair. Oh my god, the hair. Leo has such terrible hair. Like,
Hongbin has the hair that you
Leo and Hongbin are having a terrible time.
Ravi is present being Ravi.
Ravi has been
Ravi since debut. He did not evolve into the person he is today.
Ravi was a Ravi. Like, as soon as you met Ravi.
Like, I'm like, Ravi, you are a constant in this world, aren't you?
Yep, I think the only person of the random people they brought in that made the group was Hyuk. He was like, they needed a younger new kid, so they brought in him.
That's what they always end up doing, because that's what they did with Chanwoo.
Yep, that's how we gotta get need one new kid in there, yep.
It just, like, you can really see a lot of storylines, because it's so early, and it really has no money, and I don't think there was much storyliner to it. And it
was also like, this is Jellyfish Entertainment, so at the time it was like, who the fuck is that? Like they didn't have anybody really. Nobody.
Who made them?
VIX made Jellyfish Entertainment, yeah.
But like you can see like certain like the Chanwoo situation that would go on, like the Hyuk Chanwoo situation where like you need the maknae, so you bring in this random person to like
here's a random
shake up
kid
the dynamic.
Who's gonna be here.
Like, you see weird storylines that like eventually survival shows that like were like, oh, we'll do this and we'll just do it with money and better and actual story prep. I'm like,
very much how like Ravi has been Ravi since he was seen. Like N was also like just the leader. The leader and the mother of this group from like day one.
N is another constant in this world.
Yes, and it was always the leader and mother of VIX, like, as soon as you see him. And that is, like, will always be the same.
Yeah. Like,
I do remember one of the first things they made them do on the show was do, like, a shirtless photo shoot in the rain. And that was very bizarre.
Which was questionable.
It was very questionable.
Considering, like, a lot of them were children.
Yes. Junk, I think, was, like, maybe 16, 17 at the time, so.
I will say that they did have a weirdly clear concept of what VIX was gonna be from the beginning. Because
they did.
VIX has always
they at least had that together.
Like, because again, very quickly do they put out the fact that the VIX is gonna have weird concepts. And I'm like, you know what? You had a thought and you followed through, because that is what
and that was a constant throughout their career. Like, that's what they were known for, and so they made it work, because it's like they did it really well. So good for them.
They started with I will say, it does make you think that maybe, like, that's why a lot of K-pop concepts don't work now. Because they did make VIX for them to be able to do these concepts. As opposed to throwing these concepts at a group randomly. Without, where some members are good at it, some members not as much. Honestly, I give it more of a pass because it's so of its time. I don't think it's terrible. I think we can put in, like, Ice Cream or Zoom Zoom.
Zoom, I guess. He'll chill there.
That Idol School?
So, this is Idol School. Idol School is like weird, like creepy, pseudo-produced. Yeah, the thing about it that's weird. So Idol School made a permanent group instead of it being a temporary group because it made From Us 9.
Nine is slowly just where From Is 9 is as a group. It's just slowly evolved that they were under something, then they were under Pledis, now they're technically under Hybe labels.
Yep, that's where they are now.
This is what we're doing.
This show is like, it's structured kind of similar to Produce in a way. A lot of the rounds are very similar. They do a couple of things that are different, but it still feels very much like an Mnet survival show. And like, that feel is definitely there. The thing is it feels very creepy.
It is very creepy.
Is what I don't like. It feels very, very creepy.
So you know how, to describe the creepiness factor, you know how Produce has this pseudo-school tendency to it? Especially with the pick-me's, with the outfits, with a lot of it. You kind of feel like you're in a school. Mm-hmm. Take that. Just rank that up to a 25. And also make the girls either younger or seem younger.
That's the thing, is that all the girls are so much younger, and it's forcing this school theme so much, and it has just like weird creepy vibes the whole time, and I'm like, I don't think I like it here.
I don't like it. It does creep me out. I will say, to denote my point again, we have the worst performance of Idol School, which is know how
another Red Velvet cover.
You know how I said put a pin in Red Velvet? They do.
We're
Rookie.
Back. This is it. This is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
If you look, I'm happy we did this second because I was able to bitch about the unit
red flavor. Yeah,
because this is worse.
It's so bad. One person in so
this group,
bad.
One person in this group can sing, and she cannot hold it down for the 6 that can't.
No. There's this one girl in particular. She like sings the first line of the song. It's absolutely terrifying. Like, she sucks so much.
It is one.
I don't know who it is, but she is so bad.
Mind you, this is a K-pop thing. I'm on it now just to check the thing on here. Mind you, it is one of the very few K-pop related things where the dislikes outweigh the likes by far. It has 15,000 likes, 29,000 dislikes.
It's really bad.
Not an Mnet thing, because this was Mnet as well.
Yeah, it was Mnet.
So, like, Mnet's just like, yeah, no, we know it sucks.
Mm-hmm. It's bad. It's
like,
not good.
It takes a lot, because K-pop fans will defend anything.
Yeah.
So there's that Boombayah performance got defenders.
It did.
This, no one defends this.
It's so bad. It's really terrible.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But it
also
like
hurts my ears to listen to it.
It also is a perfect example of what's wrong with this show. In that they are doing this, but they also they make them look younger. These girls are made to look younger than they are.
And then the fact that all of this, like, scandals came out afterwards is that they were not being fed enough food at all, and, like, were just, like, not treated well on the show at all.
Because a lot
it's
of
just
people
like also it adds a lot to,
yeah,
like, the, like, just bad feelings overall I have about it.
Because a lot of people remember those scandals as produce scandals, but this was also an Mnet show. I think those scandals of them not being fed were from this show.
It came out during the voting manipulation scandals.
That too, but it came out for this show as well. To the point where I think it was worse on the show because they had no ratings and they had no money. And these were not trainees. They did not have to treat these girls well because they had no one to... Because again, if you're mistreating the trainees of a company, the company might be mad.
The company will sue.
The company might be mad because it's like you're ruining... Like, if they then leave the company because of their time on your show, you fuck the company over out of their investment.
Yeah.
Not because they care. Companies don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this show, none of these girls were in companies. That's why they're a permanent group.
Yeah. I will also say this, another thing that I vastly disliked about this show a lot is when they do ranking announcements, it happens when all of them are sitting in, like, a classroom in their, like, school uniforms, and then they're just reading these ranking reveals, and it looks like everyone's a robot, and it's super creepy looking, and, like, very uncomfortable, and it's just, like, everyone is just smiling and, like, sitting in these school desks staring into your soul, and it's just so fucking weird that was the way they decided they were gonna do that, because it's, like, it's in a weird way, like, no one was allowed to, like, show reactions to, like, what was being said either, so that also adds to, like, the weird, like, creepy robotness of it all, and it's just, like, I hated that a lot. I disliked it every time.
What I can describe this show as, the closest thing I can describe this show as, because a lot of performances on this show are real rough.
Yeah.
The thing I can describe it as, the closest thing to it is that this is, like, the closest Korea will ever get to how Japan has to do their produces.
Yeah, if, like, we got, like, a female season of Produce Japan, like, it would be this. This is it.
This is the female season of Produce Japan.
This is female Produce Japan, yeah.
Because these girls can't be in companies. They have no training. Mm-hmm. They're girls off the street, and a lot of them are very, very rough. From Is 9 is actually one of the best groups that we got.
From Is 9 is pretty good. Like, the group that came out of that show is a good group.
It's a good group. And much like how JO1's a good group, in that, like, you take what you got, and then you train
you do something
later.
Like magic with it,
you do good with it after. I like it. But the show, not good. The show makes me uncomfortable.
It is not a good show. Would not recommend that one.
I think we gotta put that in dinner.
Down here.
Lower. The performances are also rough. Put it in the closure list.
Go down there.
We can put it down there. So now we have the 3 shows that have aired this year.
Yeah, so 2 of them are done. One of them is still airing, but I have watched all of the episodes that have aired up to this point of that one. So the first one is Loud. Loud is what seems to be a very confusing show. It's actually not that confusing after I watched it and, like, understood what was happening with it. So Loud is a joint JYP P Nation show, essentially. It essentially is formatted in the way of a normal survival show, except both JYP and P Nation are there, and they are trying to recruit people to their company over the course of the show, and there's, like, a lot of weird competitions where they can, like, switch between companies, and then whoever they have at the end is, like, pretty much guaranteed to debut in a boy group at said company. So
much like how K-pop Star was just live recruitment. This is
it's
much
got,
like how K-pop Star got canceled.
Very much notes of K-pop Star,
in that way. In that we're not going to see this group for a while.
JYP's supposedly putting his out next year. I don't know how true that is, because he's also debuting a girl group next year, so I don't know what he plans to do with them. There's only, like, 5 of them, I think, on JYP who won. P Nation could put out his boy group whenever he wanted to, but P Nation also has a 12-year-old.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like the 12-year-old's gotta be.
I think, like, we gotta wait a little bit on that. The only thing about Loud that I did not realize until I started watching the show was that JYP and P Nation put all of their company's trainees on this show as well as just recruiting people from, like, off the street, because that was essentially what it's originally advertised as, is, like, we're recruiting all of these people from off the street for a chance to be in, like, one of our companies. But essentially all of their trainees initially passed the audition, and then P Nation has all of his original trainees in his debut group plus, like, 3 other people. JYP has 2 of his 3 original trainees in his debut group, kicked one of them out completely along the course of the show, and then has an additional, like, 3 people. So really the people that we got that were from, like, just the off the street auditions, we didn't get that many of them to begin with. But the format of the show I really liked. It was another show that I watched. It was very refreshing to watch after something like Produce, because the format was different, and I found this format really creative and, like, really fun to watch. Especially because the way the audition rounds were formatted was something I really liked, is they had to give both a talent audition and, like, a charm audition. So the talent audition was thus they got to sing or rap or dance or do, like, you know, anything they wanted, like, as, like, a regular, anything you would do on, like, a survival show audition regularly. And then their charm audition, they could do really anything they wanted. So one kid essentially gave, like, a TED talk of his life and his ambitions. Another kid who I really liked didn't make it into either of the groups, which is unfortunate, but he essentially, like, straight up filmed, directed, and scored, like, a short movie and presented it to them. And that was really cool. This other kid did a whole, like, breakdancing performance of his entire, like, daily, like, life schedule routine, and that was really cute. this really funny moment where, so there's that thing where you swing like a nunchuck above like some candles and you blow out the candles. That thing. One of the kids did that, except that he completely messed it up and essentially just chopped the candles in half. But the way he played it off was just so like as if he meant to do it and so funny. That's that JYP, because this was one of Psy's trainees. And JYP was like, you meant to just screw it up and it was supposed to be funny, right? And then Psy was like, no, this is a thing he does all the time and he usually does it correct.
But, he was able to, like, thrive.
No, but he played it off so funny that JYP was like, that was amazing. That was so great.
Live his best life while fucking it up. Yeah. And I think that's adorable.
It was great. I loved that. That was super fun. But there's really good performances and covers. There's some of the best most interesting covers here.
Loud in the beginning, I was like, I don't want this.
Mm-hmm. As time it was so weird. Loud, it was so weird. Yeah.
As time went on with it, I was like, oh, this actually seems like it is good. Like it won me over. The 12-year-old not okay with it. Not okay with the
thing that makes me more upset about the 12-year-old is that the one kid who got cut right before the 12-year-old was my favorite person on the show.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And this was the kid who scored and filmed and directed his own short movie for his audition. And I'm like, why the fuck we kicked that kid out for the 12-year-old?
Sweet boy. But I think Loud overall is very good.
Mm-hmm. Want to do it's really fun. I really think that it's format-wise a lot different from typical survival shows, and I think that because of that, it's a very refreshing, and honestly, fun show to watch.
What I would enjoy is if we did give these kids a break before we debut them, especially the
I
think it'll be good for them.
And I think that's why they sort of have the prize as you're guaranteed a debut in a boy group, is because I don't think neither company has immediate plans to debut them, so it gives them time to train a little bit, especially because some of these kids they picked off the street, so it just gives them time to work together, get the team dynamic together, and give them more experience. So I think that's ultimately probably for the better.
Yeah,
but I like this show a lot. It's very good. I'm gonna put it in queso.
Now we have Girls Planet 999 Produce 2.0.
This is Produce in a wig, Girls Planet 999.
No,
it is essentially Produce.
It's not Produce. Why would you ever suspect?
It's Produce? The format is literally identical to Produce.
See, no, Produce has 100 people. This is 99.
We have 99 this time.
Not that there's not Produce season, not official Produce seasons that use 9 in their title a lot.
I'm fully of the opinion that this was literally going to be the season of Produce after Produce X. At least we were going to get Produce 99, and this was going to be the theme, and this would have been the next season of Produce. I'm fully believing that that's what we were... Because we just had Produce 48, and so they're like, we got to keep doing these stupid gimmicks, and so why don't we also bring in China, and we do that, and now here we are.
And now that, now that China can't have its own Produce, we got to bring in more China.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So this is Produce 2.0, essentially. It is, it's fine, I guess. There's a lot of problems with this show in particular that I think is specific to this show. The format is bad.
Probably because I think that, we've made it known before that I think that China does better variations of the Produce format than Korea has ever done. And I think that Produce 48 was okay. Sure.
It was fine.
Let's bring that's a fine whatever. Bring that in as a gimmick. Produce X was stupid gimmick. This I think is an active, but it's a stupid gimmick but mostly harmless gimmick. This I think is an actively terrible gimmick that makes the show worse.
Because the way that the show works for the first round of elimination is everyone is in something called a cell. It has one Chinese, one Japanese, one Korean trainee in it. And essentially, for the first elimination, they're all going to survive or get eliminated together.
As a unit.
So you need good people in your cell to, help you out, essentially, to survive elimination. And I think that's pretty stupid. Because it's also, it's just, so unnecessary, I think. Especially when the format of the show is so individualistic to begin with. It's this is not a group effort in the slightest.
Again, it's not like a win or a mix and match where you're competing as a unit. You're competing as an individual. And it's like, again, this is not a group project.
Yeah.
This is not Mnet's best friends race.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't think that's stupid. I think it's really stupid. We get rid of that gimmick pretty fast, and then just do like normal eliminations after that, but it's still very weird.
Yeah.
I would say. Another thing that is, I think, bad about it is the way they handled the voting. Yeah, so the way the voting worked for this season was that it was essentially Korean votes counted for 50%, and then the other 50% was split in a weighted, like, 2 Chinese to 1 Japanese. And that was just really weird, and because of that, we ended up with a group that is 6 Koreans, 1 Chinese, and 2 Japanese. And this is a quote-unquote global girl group.
How is this even less... Somehow I feel like less diverse than Produce 48.
Somehow it is, yeah.
How the fuck did we get less diverse?
I don't know. And it's really like...
And some of those Chinese girls were really good.
I would say a lot of the Japanese and Chinese girls more talented than the Koreans. Yeah, like, generally as a concept throughout the whole show.
A lot of these girls... It's not like they brought in... Because they didn't bring in AKB people. Because the thing was, AKB... So in Produce 48, the Koreans looked a lot better, mainly just because they were competing against AKB trainees, who aren't really trained as idols.
Because how the AKB system is formatted is you don't have to be skilled at all when you, like, are essentially put into that group, is that you learn along the way, which is what, like, the Japanese, like, fans like to see.
As opposed...
it's a lot... The talent level is just a lot different because of how the system works there.
Yeah. But then, in this situation, you actually do not have girls from AKB, you just have Japanese trainees. And they are very good.
Yes, they're very good.
They give you a run for the money of the Korean trainees, and so do the Chinese trainees. The thing
because a lot of so many of the Chinese girls were on Shubang 2020 or Youth With You too. So many of them.
We know a lot of these. A lot of those girls are very familiar to us.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these girls are very familiar. A lot of them. But like, it's fine.
We only ended up with 1 Chinese trainee in the winning group.
We did end up with Yunin Kai's sister. If that
helps. Yunin Kai's sister.
I don't know if that helps anything.
I guess that helps the diversity a little bit unintentionally.
The diversity is upped by Yunin Kai's sister. She's Korean though.
The thing with the thing with that is that she got 0 screen time this entire show. Literally none. Like, barely saw her at all. But, like, also got
a massive amount of both bullying and praise. I've seen this girl was maybe the most talked about person on this entire show.
This is, like, the like, weird, like, less controversial, like, Tony equivalent of girls' play.
She got so bullied. I was not following. I was following a lot of the performances. I was not following the show as it aired. I saw so much bullying for this poor girl. Who is, I don't know how old she is, but I know how old Yunin Kai is, and she's his little sister.
18, 17, I think.
I think she's 17. And I know how, she's so, I feel so bad. I saw some of the bully, like, I assumed that she was the fucking Somi edit and got, like, all the screen time because I just saw so much about her.
She is completely invisible on this show. I do think it's because she seems like a really quiet person, and so I don't think her personality was interesting enough for the editors. It's either that or they didn't want her in the group at all, so they just did not show her. I don't know why they wouldn't want her in the group, because she's honestly, like, pretty good. Like, she's not, her being in the group is, like, not at all a detriment to the group. Like, she can hold her own fine. Like, she's good, she's fine. She's not, like, one of these useless people. It's honestly pretty wild that she ended up in 2nd place, because if anything, she was ranking in the lower half of the top 9 to, like, not even in the top 9 the rest of the show.
Bullying helped. Because the bullying then also got a lot of people defending her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? This girl does not deserve to be bullied in this manner.
It's honestly because the TXT fandom, I did come, like, through the live voting and, like, mass vote for her towards the end. Which is fine, because I don't think she's bad. She's not bad. Like, but the fact that she got 2nd place specifically is, I think, what a lot of people are upset about.
She's high labels by association.
Yeah, and it's because also we did only get like 3 non-Korean trainees in the group that people are also upset about.
I mean, I do
that's
think
also
that
like part of it.
Again, I think the big problem with with a lot of these shows is just that Korea wants it wants its cake and to eat it too. It wants to make a K-pop group that Korea will like, but it also wants a diversity. If you do that while also, again, the only way you do that is if you have to have X amount of foreign trainees.
Yeah.
And Korea
so
will
here's
never
my
do
thing:
that.
is I now have a conspiracy theory about what they do when they have these like specifically this and Produce 48 when they have like foreign, like specifically the theme of the show is to have like foreign trainees. So I'm pretty sure Korea now just makes these shows because they want to like flex their music industry over China and Japan.
Well, yeah, of
course. And they purposely set it up in a way that
they're not gonna win.
The Korean trainees are so much better and are gonna win, and so they can beat China and Japan. Well, look how much better we are than you.
The thing is, though, with that, is that this show almost backfired because I found the Korean trainees, for the most part, to be the least interesting trainees.
That's always what happens.
With AKB, it was slightly different because I never found AKB interesting because you had at the point of investing yourself into the AKB trainees of 48, you kind of have to accept the AKB system, and I don't care. Mm-hmm. But at least in this, everyone is on par, and I genuinely think the foreign trainees are elevated above because I do think they're better.
They are, but the way that they
are edited,
like weighted the vote. No, it's not even the way that they're edited. It's the way that they weighted the votes.
The voting
was really what did it.
Essentially,
yeah.
To me, it just proves that Korea can only win by cheating because that's what it is. They won by cheating. And if you again. On the surface, yes, it does look like Korea's the better one, but if you look at least below the surface, it kind of looks real bad for Mnet because you just are essentially like, well, you needed to cheat to win. Even if you didn't, even if this result would have happened if you weighed everybody the same, the fact that you did it at all looks bad.
Yeah. And then there's also, like, the thing that is like always confusing to me when Korea decides they want to do these Japanese-Chinese joint shows is there's obviously like bad political history there, especially between South Korea and China. It's a little bit less with Japan,
not now,
a little bit less, not as nearly as much as China, but like there's like bad history
political
there.
Issues currently.
I mean, like Japan did like try to colonize South Korea, so like
there's a lot
bad
these
bad things were happening.
Specifically, have a lot of tension. And I do think it is because they are the 3 biggest, in terms of influence, East Asian countries currently. Yeah. Like, because there are so many other countries that you could, like, partner with. But that would be more South Asian and, like, different types of countries that don't...
I'm surprised we honestly haven't gotten, like, Thailand in there, to be honest. Because that seems like it's, like, would be a safer choice.
I don't know if we want to open the racism bag that comes with bringing a bunch of Thai people to Korea. The racism is what I'm concerned about.
That's like always a problem.
That's always
the racism issue will always be a problem in these survival shows as well.
I mean, the racism issue. We've mentioned it briefly. We haven't dived deep, but I think we could do racism problems in most of these shows.
Oh yeah.
Almost all of them.
I do also want to talk about for Girls Planet 999 about a specific girl named Daeyeon that, oh my god, the show went so far out of their goddamn way in the edits to make sure that you knew this girl had to be in this group. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous amounts of it. It was like, she got like essentially like golden girl edit where it's like nothing she did was wrong and she was always the leader of everything and everything she was doing was right. And it's not even...
correct.
Necessarily that what gets me. There's one specific part that really gets me about it, whereas like one of these times when they were doing the original songs, they essentially all 4 of the groups got to go off to do like a little separate like trip. It was like, get on one of these buses, you're gonna go on a different trip depending on which bus you pick. One group went hiking, and then went like paragliding. One group like went and like got it like went to like a chiropractor and then got like a really fancy dinner at a place. One group got sent to a farm.
Oh no.
Do you know how they send idols to go do farm work? They got sent to a farm. The other group went to this girl Daeyeon's mother's house They went to her apartment.
To do what?
I don't know. And they literally went there. I don't know. They literally went to her house. The mom made them food. They literally went to dinner at a restaurant that her father owned. Then they went through her room and all wrote notes to her.
I hate this show.
And I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, it was so fucking weird.
Is she like the goddaughter of one of the producers? What the fuck's happening?
I don't know. It was that thing specifically. I was like, this is so fucking weird. Like, I can't believe that this is the thing that we're doing right now. It was so weird.
That's fucked.
And it's like I would have been like more okay with it if it was just like the editing, because obviously the editing is gonna do whatever it wants, and like one person is gonna be like that always. But that specifically, I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, that was such a weird thing to do.
Yeah, that's questionable.
Yeah. But this is like lesser produce, essentially.
It's worse produce. I'd put it like ice cream.
It can be here with. Yeah, that's probably good.
And now we have the last.
Here we go.
We're at the end, guys. We're at the end.
Yeah. So this show is still currently airing. This show is called Wild Idol Extreme Debut. So this is by far, I think, the worst survival show that exists, and I don't think anything like it should be made ever again, and I don't think it's currently a good idea for anything. And I really want to know what was going through the minds of the people that made this show to begin with.
It greatly concerns me.
It concerns me greatly. It is also very confusing.
Because not only is it greatly dehumanizing, because I don't know if we've mentioned this, but they don't get names on this show. No. They only get numbers.
You have to earn your name. If you win it, you can get your name back.
Like, the one thing you are given there is very few things in life that are free. Mm-hmm. One of the free things that you just get as a human being is a name.
Yep.
And it is so dehumanizing to just not refer, because we know a lot of who they are, because they are just members of other groups. We know who they are, but they are not allowed to be addressed by their name.
No, and they can't ask anybody who they are, how old they are, their background at all. Like, it's real. And they can only refer to each other by number until they earn their names, and it's like really bad. I hate that they're actually being like graded on like their physical ability. It's like, because they do all these really terrible like marathon running type things that are actually gonna matter into like,
and that actually could injure them, because so often you get so often in these shows they injure people on accident. Mm-hmm. How disheartening is it? I've always wanted to be an idol, but I fell during the marathon, fucked up my ACL, and now I'll never be an idol again.
And it's just...
That's horrible.
It's just stuff that is so irrelevant to being an idol that we're putting such large emphasis on. Like, I don't care whether or not, like, these kids can do a squat while holding a boulder. Like, I don't care. I don't think it matters at all in the long run for anything.
That is what you do when they have already debuted and they're doing their, like, Run BTS style variety show. It's like, hey, let's do some bullshit for
and that's my thing with the format of the show, is I think this show works fine if these are just like random idols and it's like not a survival show and it's like a weird fun competition.
If this is just what is it called, the idols getting sent to an island, Idol Survivor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Law of the Jungle.
Law of the Jungle, that's the word. If this is Law of the Jungle, but we don't have to ship them off for a month to a jungle so you can actually get idols onto the show for a while, this is just, hey, it's hit the stage, but for people that aren't great, but for the variety member of your K-pop.
And I don't mind if it's just fun. If it's like a weird fun like boot camp, like, and it's just like the competition doesn't matter. I think that's a like fun format of a show.
If it's that military show, that Lucas did, Lucas and Lisa did, where they just go into military boot camp. That's fun. Mm-hmm. Do that.
Because also, the way that the show is edited is in the same way as, like, the shows like Law of the Jungle or, like, I Live Alone, where it's like we have a literal panel of, like, 5 or 6 people who are literally sitting there watching, like, an edited version of the episode and reacting to it live, and we get their reactions.
Not just that, but
it's so bizarre.
The show also seems to have zero budget. It's why they're doing everything outside.
And it's like the parts that are like idol-like. They're literally practicing a dance like out on like a dirt field or just in the middle of a field, and it's just like...
They're not having a good time, and I greatly dislike it.
And like the part that they're on now, so they actually eliminate everyone except for 14 of them on episode 4.
Oh, great.
Which is really weird, number one. That's just a weird way to format the show. Number 2... The second round they do, it's like your traditional Survivor show thing where you get a song and then you like do a performance of the song or whatever. Except they're only given like maybe a couple of hours to do it. It's like they bring in who's here? Sungyu is here for that, and then it's Neil from Teen Top. And someone in 2 p.m. I don't remember someone in 2 p.m. and then there's somebody else there.
Top tier choices for idol mentors on this show.
Yeah.
Neil and Sungyu for some reason.
And I don't remember the other ones, to be honest. I watched this episode like yesterday and I've already forgotten.
It's a completely... The show itself is just... Take the fact that Produce has to do gimmicks, but Produce can at least rest on the laurels that it is an Mnet show. It has money. It has reputation. People are going to watch it. Like, even something like an Idol School or Girls Planet, that is an Mnet show.
Yeah.
Mnet knows what it is. Mnet will just do what it does.
And it's like some of
this
the
show
stuff
has to overcompensate.
And it's like they're trying to hang on to this vague metaphor of like, you know, the idol industry being like a jungle and a survival of the fittest or whatever, and I'm like, this is like not the way to do it. Like this is a terrible way to do it, and I hate it. The opening credits of every episode has like those weird, like bizarre, like pictures of like scenes of like wildlife or whatever, and you would see of just like lions and like gazelles running around and stuff, and I'm like, this is so dumb. Like this is not it.
I don't like it.
And even the stuff they do that is like semi-related to like being an idol, like some of it is like they just did this, like it was like an endurance test where it's like, here's the theme song, you're gonna essentially dance the chorus of the theme song on a loop until you are too exhausted and can't do it anymore, and we notice you're exhausted and can't dance anymore. And they're also wearing like 2-pound weights on every arm and leg.
So my thing with this will always just be that the closest thing I can describe this to is that this is what the male equivalent of Idol School is.
Yeah, it really is.
You can't do what they did in Idol School to boys.
You cannot do this show with
girls.
You cannot do this show with girls. Like you cannot.
You can't, and it's weirder if the Idol School thing they would never do with boys. Mm-hmm. But the thing with it is, I feel like Idol School was at least an Mnet show, so From Is 9, while never as popular as a produce group, still hanging in there.
Yeah.
This show, I have zero faith that this will actually be worth the struggle that you're going
I fully expect the group that comes out of the show to be bad, because they are not learning how to be idols on this show. We're spending much time on like dumb gimmicks that do not matter at all, that I fully expect the group to come out of the show to be bad.
And that are actively possibly injuring them. Because genuinely, this seems risky.
It's a lot of the things they're doing. The like risk for injury is so high. On this show.
I'm shocked there has not been massive amounts of injuries on the show, or maybe there are and they're just not telling.
And we're just not going to talk. One kid did have to leave. One kid got injured doing something and then left on like the second day. So they did have a kid get injured, but they just kind of played that off and didn't talk about it much. So, but it's bad. I don't like it.
So that is
it's a terrible show.
Yeah, low.
Bad show.
Bad show.
Would not like this to ever happen again.
No.
In the Cup of Milk tier, we have Idol Producer, Produce Japan Season 1, Hit the Stage, Win, and Dancer Band. And I feel like the way this is going to happen is we can only have one season of Produce. And I'm going to probably give it to Idol Producer. Yeah.
I think Idol Producer's the best.
And then do Hit the Stage, Win, and then Dancer Band.
Dancer Band.
Yeah, I think and that seems like a good representation.
Because, like, you get the Produce, which is the not Mnet Produce.
The plagiarism Produce.
The plagiarism Produce is the best Produce. I will maintain it, and that's what we've always said. Dancer Band is an idol show. Win is an idol. We had so much YG.
There's so much YG that I guess a YG show had to be there. Yeah.
Well, one of them's great because we got our boys. That's where we met Bobby.
It is where we met Bobby. Bobby's on here 4 different times, so
glad that we got Bobby in the F4 too.
Mm-hmm. And then Hit the Stage is like the ideal show that we wish they would bring
Hit the Stage is the one that we want more of. Yeah. I don't want, if I never see an idol survival show and I only get Hit the Stage adjacent shows,
yeah,
be happy. I'll be ecstatic.
Oh yeah, I would love that. I think honestly it would probably be better because I think people are pretty burnt out of like K-pop survival shows generally. Oh yeah, especially just like esque ones. I think people are done with that. Yeah.
I mean, Girls Planet did so well though.
They did do well.
I think
I don't think it did as well as Produce though, and I think part of that is because they were going the international route and couldn't.
I like the fact that all of the international produces go more international. Like, look at fucking One. We want to compare Girls Planet to One the Nine, not One the Nine, Into One.
Yeah, Into One is maybe the most international group to ever come out of a Produce show, and then we get Girls Planet with only like
3 people,
3 and 6 Koreans. Yeah,
1/3. Mm-hmm. The only one less is probably the 9% group is all Chinese.
Yeah.
So that's probably the least international.
Well, yeah, like, and then it's like JO1 is like all Japanese, so
yeah.
But JO1 was about to be 3 Koreans if Halo had not have dropped out. So
unless they forced their hand.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think that I'm excited. We're gonna get more of these shows. The Produce model or Produce adjacent model will be here till the day we die.
Yep.
That's true. Yep. I think that here's the thing, because I feel like we've gotten less company specific shows.
We have.
Because I feel like there was a period around like a little after VIX, but like around your dancer band. Where you had like Dancer Band, No Mercy, Pentagon Maker. Even like 17 had their.
It was like a pre-debut show type of a thing.
But it was also they threatened to not debut them like 3 times on that show. Whatever, it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah,
but like around then they had that, and now I feel like those are either becoming like pre-debut stuff, sending them to one of those other shows, or doing what JYP did with Stray Kids and just essentially having a show where the result is locked.
I think JYP might continue to do them, but I don't mind that because I think JYP is good at making survival shows.
JYP is good, and for the most part, I feel like the group is unfortunately settled. Yeah. I even think Twice was settled before we did this show. I feel like JYP, it's more of a pastiche than it is a real reality show, because I don't think that it matters.
Right.
The only one I could see continuing is I feel like we might get a couple seasons of Island. Maybe.
Yeah, Island I think will probably go for a bit. Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know if Big Hit, Hype, whatever we want to call it.
Well, we're gonna see. I guess it depends on how good Female Island does.
Well, that's the thing, but will they go back to a male island? Maybe every 2 years.
Maybe. Yeah, because we're already doing every 2 years now, which I think is a good.
Because then it'll be 4 years after and Hype and.
Which that's probably a good time.
Yeah, which seems correct. Mm-hmm. I want to know where my Japanese group is.
I don't mind as much as I don't like Queendom. I don't mind that style of show at all. I just don't think it will, but I don't mind it if it does.
I don't mind it. I kind of would like a dancer, not a dancer band. Hit the Stage is really where I think that you really need to invest, because I do think that you can have, because shows want ratings. What's a more bigger ratings thing than you get Taemin on for 1 episode, or you can get IU on for
as long as you get one person on, one good person on each episode, you're set.
You can fill the recurring cast with people that you're just gonna know from lesser groups. Yeah, and that'll just elevate everyone. It's great. It's a good idea. It's just something that I think that they have a hard enough time casting these shows currently.
Right.
That oh shit, we have to cast 10 episodes with different people? Fuck.
Yeah. But yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. This is fun. Tier ranking 41 K-pop survival shows. I definitely will watch more in the future. Probably not enough to be able to do it again.
Do part 2?
No, definitely not enough to do a part 2. But I will be like, this is like definitely like a genre of Korean television I enjoy a lot. I kind of compare it to American reality television, where it's like kind of trashy, but I still watch it anyway.
It is as trashy as Korean television can get.
This is like, this is about as trashy as the reality TV can get.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's how you gotta say it. That's as trashy as Korean television can get.
And as someone who loves American reality television, this is definitely a type of show I enjoy. I do wish there were slightly
more fist fights on Produce.
More fist fights.
Or more threatened fist fights.
Yeah. Because they do like try to edit drama, but it's clearly like not like that
not
interesting.
Happening. Yeah. All of these kids are well-behaved, sweet children. Like, even if they're annoyed, like, the most they'll be is understandably annoyed.
Yeah. And a lot of them are, like, media trained these days, too, so they know to not, like, be idiots on the show.
They have to be media trained. Yeah. I feel like media training is, like, the first thing you teach a kid by now. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, that's on you. That's on company.
You. Yeah.
You know.
That's on you at that point. Yeah, so this is an extra bonus episode, so there will be an episode tomorrow as well. So yay for double episodes for the week.
Yay for double episodes. That'll be drama month.
Yes. What's coming
That'll
out?
be
Criminal Minds? Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds.
I think Criminal Minds, yeah.
Yay.
So yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, we are also available on all major podcasting platforms, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and if you're listening to us there, give us a review if you can on the site that you're listening to it on. And we also have a YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes. It's kind of helpful for some episodes that have a visual element like this one and some of our other tier rankings and whatnot. And we also post an additional fun bonus video every week. And we also have a Twitter and an Instagram account at Slappin Kpop. And that is linked in the description of every episode. And we will see you, I guess tomorrow technically. The next episode, yep.
From months ago.
Yep, the next episode that was recorded in June. So have fun with that.
Bye.
Bye.